Hey, Blue Rockers, how are you? Welcome to Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. We are live with a little bit of breaking news for you. It's Crypto Connie Tuesday from Corinth, Greece. We are going to be out in Corinth, Greece once again, as we did with Stan Larimer the other day with his Bible lecture that he has for us on Sundays, which was really exciting having it that way. And now, though, it's Crypto Connie Tuesday, so we'll be talking about some crypto, right? I just want to make sure all the sound levels are good and everything is going out. So excuse me for just a second here as we do that. Make sure you guys got it. Yep, sounds like it's going pretty good on this side. So that's good. All right. So what I plan to do here is they got a meeting that's going on, so it's going to be Stan Larimer as well as Michael Taggart that are going to be speaking. So we'll let you guys hear what's going on. They're doing a lot of work for BitShares and BitShares 3.0, and I'll let them tell you about all the other things along the way because things change daily in the crypto world, as you guys know. I hope that you keep up with them on Medium as well as STEEM. With Stan, you can catch up with him on STEEM, and of course here Crypto Connie, and the same with Michael too. And he's also on Medium. You can follow him on Medium as well as STEEM at MichaelX. So those of you that are new here, because I know that we have a lot of new subscribers, that means you're a Blue Rocker. A Blue Rocker is someone in the know, and this is our little hand signal, just so you'll know who other Blue Rockers are. You know, it's Spock, backwards and sideways. So nothing but good. That's what that's all about. Just so you'll know a little bit more about Blue Rock Talk, it's Earth's most interesting conversations. That includes people, places, and things. And we do a lot of fun things. My background, if you're new here, 25 years of television and radio. You can hear me now as well, one of the weekend hosts and guest hosts at Coast to Coast AM, the best show in the world. In the world is a syndicated radio show. Who doesn't know that one? Once again, our condolences go out to Art Bell, who recently passed and was the original host of Coast to Coast. George Norrie, of course, took that on and has really done a wonderful job with it, and I'm honored to be a part of the show. A little bit more background of me, you can look down below if you'd like. While you're here, I hope that you hit that like button. I hope that you subscribe if you haven't already, and you share this with your friends. Please comment. Please check out all the other videos that we have here. I think we're either right at the 1-year anniversary of Blue Rock Talk or coming up. I think this is the month of the anniversary of 1 year. What we do here, I'm about to start something called Wasted Wednesdays. That'll be about the cannabis industry. That'll be on Wednesday nights. Thursdays is our original night for Blue Rock Talk. We call that Signature Thursday or Far Out Thursday. Really cool information. Anything goes at that point. Again, 10 p.m. Eastern is when that is on. Most of these shows are live, so we always take Q&A afterwards. Friday, of course, is Bigfoot Friday. Always a good time. Stan's Bible lecture is on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, Crypto Connie Tuesday. More things to come. We have breaking news always throughout. You never know what's going to happen, so make sure you hit that notification bell. Yes, you can always chat in the live chat room. I'll try to say hey to you. If you ever do have questions or comments, and if that's what we're taking, please do that in all caps. So I think I've kind of fit everything for you. I know a lot of people, yes, I do have a Patreon account. Those of you that do want to support Blue Rock Talk, that's great. But, and I also know there's a way you can do that on YouTube, but I got to tell you what, just go down below. I'd rather you support in crypto because then all the proceeds go to Blue Rock Talk as opposed to YouTube taking a little bit and Patreon taking a little bit. And I think you guys can understand that if you are on this format anyway. So please look down below as well so you can follow Blue Rock Talk on STEEM and all the other social platforms, DLive, DTube. And I think that we're ready to go out to Corinth, Greece, and talk with Stan the Man. We'll see. If not, we'll just kind of look in and we'll say hi from time to time and let you know what's going on. So let me see. Oh, I had Stan there, and now it went out. I was going right to him, but when he's going to call back here. I can see he's calling back. So let me slide over to Stan, answer his phone, answer the phone. Let's see. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm sure he'll try back. I tell you, it's far away. He is definitely far, far away in a galaxy far, far away. Let's see if he tries back again. I'm sure he will. I'll try him too. So we had him there, nice and steady. They're in the middle of a small meeting, and they're going to speak. Michael is, and Stan Larimer, and so we'll get to hear what's going on. It's so funny. Stan's in this. They're really living it up. The crypto world's very different, right? I love it because of that. But he's got, I don't know, maybe that's what they wear in this area. It's kind of a subdued Hawaiian shirt to me. Come on, Stan. Come on, Stan. There he goes. Okay, he's trying back. Let's see here. There we go. There we go. There's the man. All right, so I'm going to, hey, Stan, you got me? All right, I'm going to pull you in. Here we go. Let's see. Let me see if I get Stan the man in here. Oops. Bam, there we go. Okay, well, I'm going to have to put a full shot on you just because, there we go, that's the way I can get you. So, hey, Stan, welcome to Blue Rock Talk from Corinth, Greece, right? Is that where you are right now? Oh, I'm so sorry. Corinth. They were probably correcting me there. Tell them I apologize. I'm so sorry. So you are on live to the rest of Blue Rock Talkers here on Crypto Connie Tuesday. Well, when I add you, you are cut off. So move your face over in front of the screen there, at least temporarily. Then I can see you, because otherwise I just see the screen. There you go. Because when I do a split screen, that's all I get. Ta-da! Everybody, that is Stan and his wonderful shirt that he's got. I was saying it was kind of a subdued Hawaiian shirt, I guess. It's not too bad right now. It's good. But since, you don't fully have the screen yet, yeah, just stay right there so you won't get cut off. But no, it looks really good. I'm really excited about this. We got some people that are, cutting in the middle of their work day to say hello out there, give a little shout out. Let me give a shout out to a couple of these people. I'm also sharing it across the board while we're here, but we've got, shout out. Well, let me look at it over this way. It's going to be a little easier. Nobody has to see me, doing the other, but we got a lot of good people here. I'm so excited that in the middle of the work day that they can say hi. So hi, Rich Serpa, for being here. Jim E as well. They're like, what you doing in Greece? Patrick Cunnis also. Oh, you cannot hear Stan? You can't hear Stan? No sound from Stan. Let me get you. There we go. Oh, here we go. How about that? How about that one?
All that brilliant ad-libbing was for nothing?
That's right. Oh. That's right. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I can't turn Stan down. I can't turn Stan down. Okay. Yeah. All that wonderful ad-libbing for no reason whatsoever. Darn it. Darn it. Oh man. Every day I try my hardest and then there's one little clip. But nope. Now everybody's got Stan. Hey everybody, Rob. Oh, and somebody's sending us out some, verbiage here. 1 Corinthians 15 King James Version. Christ died for our sins according to the scriptures, and that he was buried, and then he rose again the third day according to the scripture. So Corinth, of course, right? Did I say it right? Corinth will spark that sort of conversation. I like that. Rob B, hello. Gary Fries, Rich again. Rich goes, let's take it from the top. Let's take it from the top. Let's take it from the top. That's right. All right. So everybody, once again here, Stan Larimer along with Michael Taggart. They are in Corinth, Greece. They have a group of people that are watching them. They're going to be doing a meeting live here on Crypto Connie Tuesday. I'm going to be kind of reading in the chat room along with you guys and sending this information out to other people because we're going to get to watch their meeting. And Stan is on vacation, and that's why he has his subdued Hawaiian shirt on. So I'll let you talk about that again, Stan.
Well, this is what I wear on a holiday instead of overalls or... my flannel shirts. But this is the crew that we have here. Say hi, everybody. All right. So, all very dedicated BitSharezians, and for all I know, there's a few STEEM people in here. I know there's a few STEEM.
Are there blue rockers out there?
This is Once Upon a Time wearing his STEEM shirt. Okay. Lion Danny, say hi.
All we saw was his booty. Was that Once Upon a Time's booty? That's where the camera was.
Okay. Yeah. They keep saying they want to see BitShares Moon, and he's about to do it. So, anybody else want to introduce themselves, either by code name? You want to say hi or anything?
What's your name? Okay.
Okay. And we span around here. Anybody else want to incriminate themselves?
Hablamos Capanes.
Okay.
Hello, Picapa.
Hi, I'm Michael.
All right.
Hello, I'm Costas.
Okay.
And I'm STEEM Sam I am.
All right.
Oh, excellent. Oh my gosh. That's so nice.
Green eggs and ham fame.
I love it. That's excellent. Make sure they know how to do the blue rocker thing. I'd love to get a shot of that.
All right. Well, I'll get up here and
explain it.
If anybody wants to flash the blue rock symbol, something like that, that'll show that you're officially a member of Connie's program.
Which side? Almost.
Yeah. So, you can be smart, but if you don't want to get in trouble with Connie, you got to turn it around and turn it sideways so it's something different. Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, Connie, now that I've done messing with the screen and everything, I think we're probably ready to go. I don't know, any other high signs? Okay. So, folks, what we thought we'd do here tonight is simply put up a few slides that Michael and I like to use when we go around to other boardrooms where we get a chance to talk to different companies that we want to encourage to enter the graphene ecosystem, which is another name for the Dan Larimer family of different blockchains. BitShares, STEEM, EOS, plus other spin-offs that are out there, peer plays, and Muse and Golos, and I can't even name them all anymore. Okay, but we're going to talk about what that means. We've quietly done a little bit of a revolution here. We'll talk a little bit about that for our listening audience because it's something I think all of us in the graphene community are pretty proud of. We are the most used technology in the world now. Mining is dead! And it was something Dan predicted in 2014. Almost got run out of the last conference on a rail when he told everybody that mining wouldn't be needed anymore in the future. But now he's starting to have his last laugh on that subject. Okay, and let's see. Let's look at briefly here. We got Sam Larimer, Michael Taggart, and the title of our talk is Cryptocurrency Trends, Myths, and Legends. And the neat thing about that is we can fit anything into one of those categories. And that's what we're going to do today. So, try out and see if our technology works. Get the next slide. This is some of the folks that have been our wonderful hosts while we've been here. And so we've got, I don't know, should I introduce the ladies first? Alina and Lana are on here. And we've got Dan, known as Lion Dan. And then we got Paul, Once Upon a Time. So those are the guys who've done it. Paul has basically provided us all the hospitality we could ever ask for here, and we're certainly grateful for that. And we've been going around doing the typical tourist thing, but it is so much better than having a rented bus driver from some cruise line. Instead, we've got real Greeks that are, every once in a while switching to speak Greek, and the rest of us, just get a chance to get a flavor for it all. And so we've really enjoyed the authenticity of our experience while we've been here. Okay, and so just one little example. This is off one of my latest STEEM posts, but the combination of events, things we're seeing around here. We went to the ruins of ancient Corinth yesterday, and at that point, when I was looking at the Temple of Apollo, what's left of its ruins, it sort of reminded me of something else I saw when I was at Cape Canaveral. And we were going to do some experiments there on one of the old launch complexes. And I walked out there under Launch Complex 34 and looked up through that hole where the rocket exhaust was supposed to flow. And as I looked up through, there was a full moon, like it was right in its sights. It was such a cool experience. But that whole complex right now is just sitting there in rust and decay, abandoned, and it might as well be an ancient ruins. And maybe 1,000 years or 2,000 years from now, maybe the people will be coming around to look at that and say, wow, this is the time when mankind actually reached for the moon. Will we ever have done it again after that? I wonder. But at least for now, we can be inspired by these kinds of things that stand as a testimony to past greatness and maybe an inspiration to future greatness for us. Okay, now we always assume everybody knows what everybody's talking about when we say, I'm a Virginian, or I'm from Idaho. Now, I must admit that I cannot name basically anything in Eastern Europe. I do pretty well with Western Europe. Yeah. And I do get Greece and Italy and Spain pretty well. But I just thought for those of you who might wonder where we're from, we're going to mention a few states over there. And there were questions at lunch about just where does Virginia fit in? Is it a northern state or a southern state? And I will assure you, it considers itself to be a southern state. Although if you actually look at it on the slide here, it's kind of the dividing line between north and south. And because Washington, D.C., which is sitting right in this area here, basically brings people in every new political season, they swap out people from one political party to another, and they live in, half of them live in Virginia. And that means they change the color of our state from red to blue with different election cycles. And so we experience whiplash in terms of how to describe what Virginia is. It's the perfect purple state. If people are familiar with what red and blue even means, blue is over on the left politically, and on the right politically is red, The middle of our country is mostly red, and the coasts are mostly blue, which is why the people in the red states are interested in promoting global warming, because if we can get the sea levels to rise, it'll flood out the blue and give us beachfront property on the red. So that's what our political motivations are, if everybody wondered what was that all going on about. Meanwhile, Michael's from out here in Idaho. I just slapped that star on there. I'm not sure how close to Boise I got.
That's pretty close. It's a little more left. But
okay. And QuintRic is sitting down here in Salt Lake City, which is where our gold depository is that Michael will be talking about as we go along. And, there's a couple other states that are starting to make noise, one of which is Wyoming, out here in the Great West, and they've started passing a lot of laws that claim state rights over cryptocurrency and reject interference from the greater federal government. And so that's an interesting dynamic that we're rooting for. Another mayor of Lafayette down here is also interested in building up the state of Louisiana into a crypto excellence center. But over here in Blacksburg, Virginia, is where I live, and that is also where Dan lives, and where EOS is currently hiring maybe 100 new people as they ramp up. EOS has lots of locations around the world, but the one where Dan leads the technical team is located right there on that big yellow star. So that'll give you a little idea where we're coming from when we mention the names of these different states. And I just went and talked to their Chamber of Commerce a week or so ago. All right. Connie yells at me every time because I always forget to turn the phone off. That's so unprofessional, Stan. And of course, you know me, I always have an answer for everything. And this just, because this is showing you what my life is like. It just won't let me go. But anyhow, I talked to them, and when I'm speaking to the locals right there in the Blacksburg area, I was telling them, guys, do you realize that you've got 3 of the biggest, most used blockchains in the world right there in the area around Virginia Tech, down here in this little circle here? And I live sort of right there, and right in the middle of it is the Virginia Tech area, and that's where all of this action is starting from, although it wouldn't be anything if the rest of the world wasn't adopting it and using it in 1,000 different ways. But at least when you're a person from Virginia, you can kind of take pride in that little fact that those 3 blockchains make up 2/3 of the world's transactions. And we'll talk about that a little bit as we go along. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to say about that, how did I go backwards, Michael? Okay, was that this whole idea of ranking, and what we can see right now, EOS, I think, just moved into 5th place, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're going to rank it by market cap, EOS is one of the tops in the top 5, and STEEM and BTS are ranked by activity, the top 10, and we just switched. If anybody looked in the past 24 hours, BitShares is more active than STEEM in the past day. So, okay, and anybody have any comments or questions going on here? I don't want to, just power through it. This is supposed to at least have somebody say, yay. Okay, so this all started as most of you were here. How many of you were here during the ProtoShares day? I'm just kind of curious. ProtoShares, the very first one. Okay, about half of the group has been with us since that very early days. ProtoShares was just a Bitcoin node that you could mine, but then we could upgrade it afterwards. We get started building a community, and we could upgrade it to BitShares 1.0, and then upgrading that to BitShares 2.0, the graphene platform starts spinning off Steam and Pure Plays, did specialty coins like the Hero, and now in 2018 going on to EOS. And all of those are just continuous upgrades. We'll talk a little bit about why did we do upgrades just to BitShares, the first half of that chart, and then stopped upgrading BitShares and started creating new chains after that. But what was the watershed understanding that made us decide to do that? A lot of people have that question. And so if I forget to answer that question in the next few minutes, somebody remind me I'm supposed to tell you that. Okay, and then the other thing that we've been talking about, people understanding the raw difference between Bitcoin's performance and BitShares performance. And you've got to use a log scale, multiple orders of magnitude. When I talk about performance, I'm talking about how long does it take to complete a transaction, how many total transactions can you do per second, and what's it cost to do a transaction. And if you multiply all this together, you get something like 8 orders of magnitude. And 8 orders of magnitude better performance is the difference between the speed of a Pony Express and the speed of a Starship. And that's the advantage that we've been enjoying. And what we're going to be talking about tonight is how we continue to enjoy that advantage. Some people are worried a little bit about, well, is EOS going to come along, increase the speed, to the next Star Trek, the next generation, in terms of total performance, and what does that do for us? Well, we're going to show you that we're positioning BitShares to ride the EOS wave like a surfboard. Okay? We're not going to fight it. We're not going to chase the wave. We're not going to get out in front of it and get crushed by it. We're going to surf along on top of it and use that to benefit everybody who's been a BitShares supporter the whole time. And if you're interested in the things that BitShares does, then BitShares will always be of interest, while EOS will be spreading out to provide a lot of other things. And of course, it does make it easier for our competition to come along and build something on EOS, so we're going to have to get sharper in what we do. But we will. We see it happening all the time, and we'll see more as we go. Okay, and so this is the other part of what we talk about is there's a philosophical bent behind it, grounded in the American Revolution. But I think most people understand and have heard the words of this, to secure life, liberty, and property for all. And whenever Dan gives a speech, he talks probably more about that than he does about the technology. And that what we're trying to say with the technology we're doing is that government has gotten big enough, and it is now taking away freedoms faster than it's protecting us. And so we need things to help ensure our freedom and independence as we go along. And every country out there experiences the effect of what their government does to them. We each have a different specifics, but it's the same fundamental thing of being basically exploited, if you will, by the people who want to hold on to power and are balancing and playing the rest of us against each other. And the idea of allowing us to all interact with each other directly without a middleman, whether it be banks or big government or whatever, is maybe our last best hope for freedom. And so we wear the same hat as freedom fighters in every age have had. We're using technology this time for that purpose. And then, how many in here, I love going to audiences outside of the American slang, how many know what the phrase smack talk means? Smack talk.
Yeah, where you say something bad about somebody.
Yeah, in a playful way.
Yeah.
Right? It's where you insult somebody. I've been doing that to Alina all last night. Making wisecracks, okay, and poking fun at each other, okay. And it's not meant to be mean-spirited. It's just meant to be fun. But it's making wisecracks. Do you even know what wisecracks are? Okay. I never know. I use so much American slang that sometimes I don't know whether I'm even communicating or not. But here is a little of Dan's back and forth smack talk with Vitalik. And those guys are friends. They do respect each other. They have played miniature golf together. Okay. And
so tell us who Vitalik is.
Vitalik Buterin is the person who invented Ethereum. But he's an investor in all kinds of stuff now. I think he may spend more time on his new venture capital firm, which is investing in lots of blockchain technology. And some of his partners, I don't know what his personal position is, some of his partners are actually investing in EOS. Okay, so, we get smack talk whenever the two are talking. I gather I've been invited to go to China at the end of May to stand there as a stand-in for Dan and go toe-to-toe with Vitalik on, Ethereum versus depot-based systems. I don't know how that'll go, but we'll see about it as we go along. But this is a wonderful wisecrack Dan made. When someone says, why is EOS better than Ethereum? And Dan came along and said, well, EOS can run Ethereum inside a single contract. Okay, so yeah, that's one of the neat things about it. EOS is a platform on which you can build blockchains, and it provides all the services that an operating system provides a computer. All the things that you would have to build yourself, you don't have to build anymore. And with something we have called Bench coming out before long, there's a secret Bench team. It's invitation only. Trolls need not apply. But this team is building some stuff that you can click a button and spin off your own blockchain, boom, that fast. Okay, so what we're saying is that we're not sitting there trying to compete with Ethereum or with anything, or with EOS. We're trying to say, let's build the things that know how to take advantage of all this technology out there. And Michael will be talking a lot more about that in a little bit. Okay, that was just sort of a warm-up. Okay, now let's talk for a few minutes about who's number one. Okay, and we all know who's number one, right? You wouldn't be here if you didn't believe who's number one. But this is part of our training for warriors to go out and make this case elsewhere. All right? So, is it Bitcoin, Ethereum, or BitShares? And without being at all parochial in what we're saying, there's a case that can be made that any one of those three is number one. And the difference in it is which axis. You got three orthogonal axes. This is one of the things I did for teaching people about rocket science and aerospace stuff at the U.S. Air Force Academy. This is how you do a right-handed coordinate system. That's why it's called right-handed coordinate system. Three different axes, X, Y, and Z. And you can go out there and stand in front of the class and wave your coordinate system around all over the place while you're amazing them with whatever you're going to try to teach them that day. But the point is, along different axes, different people can be the leader. And so what are three interesting axes that are completely independent of each other, along which we could rank different systems? And, this is the kind of thing that you can do, when you're having coffee and you got those 3 hours with nothing to talk about. Just get out there and do that. So, here's my three axes. First off, the big sumo wrestler here, that type of athlete is Bitcoin, and it's leader by price. And everybody knows that, and everybody thinks that's how you rank them. Right? If you don't have a big market cap, you can't be very important. And if you're Bitcoin, you've got to be awesome. You're the leader. But most of us who understand the technical differences between those things say, that can't possibly be right. Are you going to invest based upon market cap? Now, yeah, you'd like to see a favorable change in market cap, but where it is right now has very little prediction of where it's going to go. Obviously, if it's in the top, it gets more respect and more attention, so that is one indicator, but there's technical reasons why other things might be better. Along another axis is utility. And right now, I'd say one could argue that Ethereum is a leader in that. It's got the ability to do a whole lot of different things with its programmability that anybody can program by writing their own smart contract. So at least up to this point, it's the leader. Of course, when EOS comes out, it'll provide its version of that capability. And, Dan's had the opportunity to learn lessons from observing what Ethereum did. And so, the second guy through, if he's at all observant, can, get some ideas of what he would have done different. And so it's possible that EOS will jump ahead in that category. That's certainly Dan's intention. is to provide better versions of Ethereum. In fact, he said, I intend to keep the promises that Ethereum made. So that's a little cheeky on what he said, but that's part of the give and take smack talk, right? And then the third one is performance, and that's where I think BitShares has been shining. It's clear that with EOS, we got these could in the coming year be eclipsed by EOS, right? But right now, the heavyweight champion in performance is BitShares. And so if you ask yourself, who's the best athlete? Somebody super strong, somebody super agile, or somebody super quick? It would depend on what sport they're playing, wouldn't it? This agile person down here in Ethereum might not do very good at sumo wrestling. And the sumo wrestler might have a pretty hard time chasing that tennis ball around. So it depends on what you're trying to do. And if you're an investor, you've got to ask yourself, what matters? This is what I do in boardrooms like this. When I say, guys, why did you pick what you picked to build your coin on? And a lot of times they say, wow, we picked Bitcoin because it's number one. Oh, really? That was smart. Others say, well, we picked Ethereum because all the cool kids hang out there.
Some people, they check out books at the library and look at the pictures.
Yeah. So I said to them, guys, does it matter to you when you built your application that other hackers out there can go in and modify it and make their own versions of whatever it is you're doing? And they said, no, we'll build it right once and maintain it, but we don't need anybody else to do it. I said, then why do you need smart contracts? Why can't you code what you really need for your business applications and optimize it and use it? And I said, do you care how much it's worth? Well, we want it to go up in value. Well, is it a good idea to start at something in the tens of thousands of dollars, or is it better to start with something that's got a very low value and raise it? What is it that you really need? How much business do you guys expect to get? And they say, oh, we got millions of customers, and we're going to switch them all over at once. We'll probably be doing thousands of transactions the first day. I said, wow, that's awesome. Guys, you realize that Ethereum can only do 25 transactions per second on a good day for the whole world to share. In the past year, while you've been building your application, somebody else's, another 200 companies are doing the same thing, and they're all planning to pile onto Ethereum at the same time. And it only takes one CryptoKitties to shut it all down. So at that point, the guys will say in the meeting to their technical officer, is that true? The tech leader is going, and then he finally makes some comment about, well, nobody ever got fired for hiring IBM. That's the old phrase we had in the 70s when people had to explain why was IBM doing their IT. And they said, well, I can't get in trouble for that. If I go out on the limb on something new, if it fails, then I'm in trouble. But if IBM fails, it's not my fault. And that's the idea that people have today as we go along. And then this right here is fresh off the presses as of this morning. Okay? Now, before this, STEEM had 51% of the total transactions out there, and BitShares was next, and then Ethereum was next, and Bitcoin had this tiny little bit of usage. All the rest of the blockchains in the world are in this final sliver. But overnight, with the new excitement about what's happening in BitShares, for whatever reason, we had a surge in the number of transactions and trading volume and so on that's going on. And that caused us to blow up to nearly 30% of the world's transactions, squeezing STEEM down and Ethereum down to make room for our bigger girth. So imagine what happens when we turn on EOS. Now, everybody move over. We're sucking up more of the total amount of utilization. And you should see Bitcoin and the rest shrink even more. Ethereum shrink The reason these guys are shrinking is because they got nowhere to go. They got no excess capacity left. So they don't have any place to grow. And yet they're sitting here with a ridiculous large amount of market cap. And that's because most of the world is not smart enough to sit in meetings like this and hear this kind of stuff, right? And if they were, then they would say, yeah, I know where I want to be invested. I want to be invested in the thing that has room to grow, not the things that are already clogged just because they've been big in the past. But that message is hard to get out because what happens when a reporter wants to do a story on cryptocurrency? They're going to call somebody famous, and if you have a big barrel of marbles and you have black marbles and white marbles in there representing Bitcoin experts and Ethereum experts, and there's a little gold marble rattling around there that's a BitShares expert, and you reach down into that bowl and draw out one, you're likely to get either a Bitcoin or a BitShares marble, and that's the person who's going to be doing the interview and talking to your audience about what's cool about cryptocurrencies. And so most people aren't hearing that because we just don't have a big enough presence yet in terms of likelihood of getting called for an interview. Now, Michael and I have been doing our best to get interviewed as much as possible. We've got an actual company that specializes in setting up 2 or 3 interviews a week where we can get out there and do that. And we got Crypto Connie, who's been, relentless scheduling more and more of these type of events. So we're trying to do our best to get everything out there. But, that is our big challenge. Fortunately, EOS is creating this tidal wave of publicity to the point where Dan got invited to go brief our Senate Finance Committee in Washington, D.C. Okay? And he gave them his opinion of what was a security and what was not, and what the rules are, and so on. So, EOS has gotten big enough to get attention.
When did that happen?
About a week or two?
Yeah, about a week, maybe almost 2 weeks.
Maybe 2 weeks.
Close.
Yeah.
Just next Monday.
So, that hopefully will grow. So strategically, what should BitShares be doing? Should we be whining about EOS, or should we be saying, wow, surf's up? Let's jump up on that wave that's going without any effort on our part and get out there and use it. And that's what the strategies we're doing, talking about today, are all about, how we're trying to ride that wave. And we're not at all worried about EOS eclipsing us, because we're going to be sitting on top of it as we go along. And sitting on top of it is itself an interesting description of what it means to sit on top of a tsunami like EOS. But it's complicated, and we've got guys who, amazingly, think they know exactly how to do that. Okay. This is just something you can get from blocktivity.info, and you see that recent activity, 15 million transactions in one 24-hour period, slightly beating STEEM for that day. It still holds the record of 2 million.
We hit a new record, though. That's a new record for us.
Yes, yeah, that's right up there. This particular date, the sweatometer over here, shows that we're doing this kind of stuff without even moving the needle, hardly visible off zero. So much excess capacity that we're not raising a sweat while breaking all the records. Well, you can see Ethereum sitting here. It's got a big old exclamation mark on there that says, I'm backlogged. And usually Bitcoin has one too. At this particular time, it was only about half utilized during that period of time. It comes and goes. It's different every day.
Ethereum's maxed, and they got 25,000 in the queue.
Okay, so when you got a backlog, that means you're not keeping up. And that means people have to pay more to move to the head of the queue to get things done in time. You're rationing what you've got. Well, how are you going to grow if you have to ration your service, right? You can become more profitable because people want to use you, pay more for it. You're getting more income generated with the amount of bandwidth you've got, but you're not going to grow rapidly like people seem to expect Bitcoin and Ethereum to do. Okay, so if you plotted instead of how much it's used, how much could it be used, you would see that BitShares and STEEM would crowd out everything else to a tiny sliver. Of course, when EOS comes along, then we'll start getting, have to move over for big baby brother coming in. Okay. Other things that you guys could talk about when you want to, do technical smack talk with other people when you're sitting around enjoying your Greek coffee. So I'll just give you several other things that you can throw out there. Okay. On several different categories for you. First off, don't ever let anybody tell you that BitShares is less decentralized than those other guys. Because it turns out those other guys are more centralized than we are by a factor of 2.
And this is one of the biggest arguments we ever run into anywhere.
Yeah. And I so love it when some smart aleck sitting in the audience wants to bring that up. Because this is the answer that you get. The U.S. Federal Reserve, the big network of banks that run the U.S. dollar, has 7 governors. Of course, they need 4 of the 7 governors to vote on any policy change in order to implement a change in dollar policy. And that means that its decentralization factor is 4. It takes 4 of these pie wedges to get to more than 51% to control the network. So, Federal Reserve decentralization factor 4. How many does it take to control Bitcoin in terms of the big mining companies out there that have all that mining power? 1, 2, 3, 4 to get to more than 50%. So Bitcoin is as decentralized as the Federal Reserve. All this other stuff down here doesn't even help ease how many other ones you have doing, because all their votes add up to not making a difference. And so when Dan designed BitShares and the other DPoS, delegated proof of stake options, he made it so that we are able to keep every one of those slices to be uniform in size in terms of the percentage of time any one node out there gets a chance to sign for the network. And so by keeping them all uniform, you don't get big slices, and so you can cram more slices into the first 51%, and so you have more decentralization. And when we started out, you guys may remember we had 101 witness nodes at the time, and everybody thought, okay, why 101? There's a Disney movie about that many Dalmatians, but other than that, why? And so Dan did some analysis. What does determine that? Well, it turns out that if you have 101, and it's dependent upon reputation, there's nobody in here that knows 101 people. So you vote for the ones you knew, and then fill it up with noise. Okay, all those people get to vote, but they don't have very good reputations. So we said, look, let's have the system itself figure out what is the median number of people that people usually vote for. And that will be how we determine the delegated number of delegates here in that pie chart, so that every one of them is a high-quality delegate that has enough votes to matter. And that can change, as we've seen. It fluctuates somewhere around 21 or maybe down to 17 or whatever, but that's about what people do. If people get more interested and start voting for more candidates, that'd be good. When we start getting big companies, Walmarts and Apple and whoever else, if we ever get to that level, then there might be more companies you trust than people. And if you vote for those people, maybe we'll get more decentralization as that happens. But right now, what we're talking about, individual people who have reputations based on lots of time spent in the community contributing in some way, it'll be limited on how many people are known well enough to do that. Okay, Michael, I got to go back. That's you.
Sensitive.
Where's your machine?
Yeah. It's at the arrow button.
Yeah. Okay, we'll finish up these other parameters just real quickly. Speed, the dollar and other fiat currencies may take 3 days to wire money somewhere with the SWIFT system. With Bitcoin, 3 hours, but that has a lot of variability to it as well. 3 seconds for BitShares. Cost to wire something somewhere might be $30 or 30 euros or somewhere in there. Bitcoin maybe $3, but I'll pay $30 when I wanted to get it happen from time to time if I need priority. And, down in pennies as far as BitShares is concerned. Capacity, if you look at the Visa system, it claims to be able to scale to 60,000 transactions per second, but typically only does 4,000, and that puts it in the same category of what BitShares does. So BitShares is doing right now about the same as the Visa system and has capacity that is at least as good, if not better. And so those are some of the things that we look at, whereas every other competitor that uses mining is under 30 transactions per second. It's going down to 7 maybe. So that's just something else we can talk about. Doggone it. Michael, would you run the mouse so that just
What do you need?
Just back us up one second.
One more?
Yeah, and I'm just going to say next from now on. Yes, so performance will matter because what the blockchains that people are wanting to use, they're like this traffic jam right here now. The networks are all clogged up, and we got a completely empty superhighway when it comes to the graphene system. So you can get on it, it's like getting on the freeway at 3 o'clock in the morning. But the rest of the world is looking at this kind of traffic jam. And if you're going to put your business onto that, you really ought to think that through, because you're not going to get good customer service if you're relying on that. And that's the kind of thing I tell people. Next slide. Okay, so this is another thing that's always very popular when I talk to Bitcoin folks. The Great Bitcoin Train 2018. Last year was the big, glorious coming out party for Bitcoin. Right? The world heard about it hugely because of the growth that happened last year. We had a reset, maybe we're seeing it come back a little bit, but if we're at all smart, we know that there's like 4 trends that are going to bring it down. And one is this whole idea of global reset. Are the bankers really planning to crash our currencies and leave us all, without any assets? A lot of us suspect it's true. I think you folks here have experienced some of that abuse already, and the rest of the world doesn't realize that that's what's in store for all of us, right? And so that type of a reset could be good for digital currencies, but can you imagine the flight to safety? What are people going to do when they see that happening? They wake up on a Monday morning and say, wow, the banks are closed. What are people going to do? Well, they typically have run and tried to buy gold and silver, but guess what? If you didn't get your gold and silver before that happened, you ain't getting it now. There are no sellers. Right? So hopefully you got your gold and silver already. Okay, now, everybody else quickly does a calculation. I can't get gold or silver. I know, move into crypto. Everybody in the world is trying to buy Bitcoin, and guess what happens to the Bitcoin network? You're going to see it screech to a halt, right? And a week's going to go by, and you can't get your transaction through. And so you can't escape at the last minute, although those of you that are smart enough to know how to use BitShares can escape out of that in 3 seconds into a gold backbone. Hello, folks. And so that's one of the other things we're working at is an escape path for people to, when this happens, those who are in the know, like blue rock talkers and other blue rockers, I guess is what we call them. Anyhow, those people can push a button and 3 seconds later be sitting in gold in the depository. And that's what we're building as a way for people to escape should that event happen. Now, there's many other events that could happen, right? Things could go on for a long time. And so we want lots of different types of coins and currencies and products that are sitting on the network that support what else we do. And so we can handle every scenario, but that is one of them that we're facing. Okay, another one, we talked about congestion, corruption. All those bad ICOs out there, scams and so on, real scams, are going to cause another flight to safety as people are saying, oh man, I bought a bunch of garbage in 2017. I need to buy quality. So we want to be there with a big old catcher's mitt. And all that money wants to bail out of all those bad things and go after quality, like gold-backed or legal security-backed coins or other things that we'll talk about. And so that's another theme that we have is we're trying to build BitShares as a home of a lot of really valuable, unique assets that people can get into and out of. Every time the regulators out there make a new rule, we smack the price down and send shockwaves through the industry. And every time somebody gets arrested unfairly or any of the other things that are done, we see this constant churn in what's going on. But we obviously need some form of regulation if we're going to deal with the criminal element that's coming in and wants to hurt people too. How do you balance those two things? And that's another big trend that we're going to see this year is lots of pushing and pulling as we try to get sane regulations from a group of regulators that really aren't that interested in sanity. They're interested in control of something that competes with the people that are sponsoring it. As the SEC, that's the Securities and Exchange Commission, is a self-regulating body. Who is the self? It's the big banks and other big companies who have erected the SEC to create barriers to entry in the name of providing safety for the little guy. They do more damage by far than most of the scammers out there. And we've seen that happen over and over again. Well, so we've got to engage and be nice, and we certainly have to obey the law while we work to get it changed. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is plot those three coins on these three axes, just so we get an idea of how it all fits. Remember, price is where we expect Bitcoin to excel. Utility is where we expect Ethereum to do well, and performance is where we expect BitShares to do well. And along the top here is that horse or Model T up to a Starship in terms of performance difference across this axis. It's on a log scale. This is just a linear scale in terms of price. And utility is kind of a hard thing to quantify, but let's just say it's a percent of maximum utility, and it's a judgment call, but you got to start somewhere. Okay, so go ahead and bring in the first arrow. And so we see that Bitcoin is sort of the lowest performing thing out there, so it's along the zero line. It's moved out along the utility line. It does have utility. You can transfer value somewhere else in the world. And it does have a little bit of performance, pretty close to zero by comparison. But it maxes out on the vertical scale of market cap.
Do you think just because of the first?
Well, certainly that's one of the big things that led to everybody knowing about it and therefore everybody investing in it. And when there's a peak, what do people do? They come in and buy. What's the easiest thing to buy? Well, Bitcoin. Right? So it does have first mover advantage, and it's not going to go away real quickly. It's just not going to grow as fast as other things might. Okay, next we drop Ethereum in, and it moves up to 25 transactions instead of 7 per second. But its utility is you can program anything on it, and it's got a market cap. It's I think number 2, and it's still not clear up to Bitcoin, but that's where it's plotted on the scale. And if we do BitShares, it's got tons of utility, more than Bitcoin, but it's not totally programmable. So I'll give Ethereum the nod there, but it's clear over across in the depot zone. It's sitting over there, it's speed of light blockchain. And so that's correct. By the way, the Visa zone sits in here. That's what a typical credit card is able to process. And so the POW zone is over here, ancient technology, dinosaurs. Okay, next. And then there's some of the other things that we see. I think EOS is going to stretch this box in all 3 axes as we go along. But if we ride the EOS wave, we should have all the flexibility we need, all the speed we need, and eventually get a nice market share as well, market cap. Okay. All right. I'm going to take a little break and let Michael talk about some of the different types of things that we have going there. Oh, Connie is sending me some signal. What's up there, Connie? This is all being broadcast live. For those of you who just came in.
Okay.
What's the situation?
Hey there, I had all my lights off so I could just sit there and listen to you, and my microphone as well, so you can hear me okay, I would think. I do have a couple questions down there below for you if you just want to answer those before you take off and give it to Michael. And wanted to let you know that a lot of people have stopped by to say hello, and they're watching you, and they even believe that your motif, whenever you do this, should be with Army fatigue attire on.
Yes, this is what I think Army attire ought to be. And there are people who have assignments in Hawaii who actually do wear something like this. Maybe.
Well, you do have a question down there below as well. I'm sorry, you're cutting in and out a little bit there. And one was, does BitShares have a current roadmap of the future of all this that you've been putting together for today and telling us?
Well, BitShares is a decentralized organization. We're only talking about the tiny little bit that Michael and I are doing, and a whole lot of other people around the world are doing their own thing. And to have a roadmap, you'd need somebody looking at all that stuff and talking about it. And I don't know, I'd say, what's the name of that thing that comes out every week? It's that's a
State of BitShares.
What's that?
The State of BitShares.
Yeah, the BitShares, State of the BitShares report, or I forget the exact name of it, but that tries to pull together what everybody's doing. And so you could do that. And certainly, Sir Fuzzy does a meeting of people talking about their plans for the roadmap. So there's no central company that's going to tell you what the roadmap is for BitShares. But right here, Michael and I are going to get real close to spilling the beans at some of the things we're doing about.
Excellent.
We have to get every one of you and all your listeners, Connie, to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Okay. Send those to me now. If you're just joining us, this is Connie Willis here, Crypto Connie today on Crypto Connie Tuesday on Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. That is Stan Larimer, the godfather of BitShares. He is live right now in a great meeting with a group of people in front of him from Corinth, Greece. Did I say it right?
The Corinthians.
The Corinthians, yes. A beautiful area that we saw some pictures of a couple days ago. He is there with Michael Taggart and Michael now. Michael, who I guess we're going to call him, since you're the godfather, why not call him the godson of BitShares?
I don't think he's going to like that.
Lord.
He
Keeps
wants
him young.
Cool kind of title.
I thought that was cool.
I got the right title for him, but he's way too cool to have a title like
MichaelX. I love MichaelX. So.
Now, all I'm doing is asking Michael to talk about one slide because he's talking about our coins. So I sit down and take a little break, and then I get back out. By the way, Charlie Daniels gets to do this too. Has anybody been to a Charlie Daniels concert recently? No. You know, the devil went down to Georgia. He's this southern guy with a big old hat. He's pretty ancient by now. So he gets up there and he plays the fiddle hard, but every once in a while he sits down and lets someone else play a song. So I'm going to do that just for one slide and then I'll be back.
And Charlie's a good guy too. I met him before. Those of you just joining us, Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. That is Stan Larimer, and we're going to welcome Michael Taggart up next. And that's the group of people there too. There are other Blue Rockers on the other side of the world for us there. You're going to see some fellow Steemians in there as well. Once Upon a Time, I know, is there, and we've got MichaelX at Stan, myself here at Blue Rock Talk. And who are the other fellow Steemians that people can follow there?
Anybody else shout out their name? Lion Danny's here.
All right, okay, hey. We'll get you more followers on there, everybody. Nothing wrong
the
with being
Phoenix,
upvoted.
yes. Mr. Phoenix.
Very nice to meet you guys. That's great. Look at those people. Excellent. Thanks, you guys.
Okay. We've got a real nice turnout tonight.
Yes. I will let Michael take over, and he has the entire screen.
All right, so I got thrown into doing this slide here, but as Stan was saying, we've been working on a lot of different usable tokens on the network. Tokens that I think will help with adoption of BitShares technology and really just smart contract technology for what I like to term as the development of an economy, a value-based economy versus a debt-based economy, right? So you got the debt-based economy, which is the current type of system, and debt-based monetary policies, which is current system, versus a value-backed type of monetary policy or economic system. One of those would be, for instance, the Hero coin, which is up here. The Hero coin, it tracks the price of the U.S. dollar from, what year was it, 1913? Yeah, December of 1913 when the Federal Reserve was created. And essentially it goes up by 5% per year. That's what you can count on that coin doing. What is backing that is essentially 2 times the value of that coin at any given time. So realize that no matter what, there's 2 times the amount of collateral in the bank held by software in an escrow, so nobody can go in there and fiddle around with it or remove some of the value out of there and kind of take out of the collateral. What this does is it locks it in there and makes that coin one that you can count on for all intents and purposes. I would say a much more safer type of coin to hold on to because it has a value backing it. And also it's something that's appreciating at a 5% rate, which is a very predictable rate. So it's more of like a IRA or more some type of CD where you can expect it to mature over time in value. Not something that you will essentially have a 25% or even a 30% jump in value like BitShares just did the other day, which was very nice. You forego those large jumps, but when you do that, you forego those large losses that happen to a lot of people by just getting something steady, 5%. Now, I think a lot of people out there, when I've asked audiences too, and I say, how many people would consider 5% return on your savings account to be a very reasonable rate of return on your savings? And everybody raises their hand. Why? Because savings accounts traditionally in the United States will yield, if you're lucky, a 0.5% or a 1% interest. That's what they say, right? And you get like a money market account or something, maybe you get a couple of percent. What the average is, if you want to talk about averages, the average savings rate for an account, the interest rate that you get is actually 0.22% is the average. So you're not even making up for the amount of inflation that's happening every single year. In fact, you're pretty much at a negative interest rate by storing your money in a bank. Plain and simple. Actually, what I should say is by storing your asset value or your value in fiat currency, right? That's probably a better way of saying it, right? Because what you're doing is you're taking all the value of everything that you do and everything you output in the world and everything that you share with others and everything like that, and you're sticking it in something that you know is going down in value. And somehow we think that that's okay because we've just been doing it for so long. The deal is that we do not have to do that. Blockchain is unlocking the capabilities of people to take the value that they put out there every single day and put it into something that they can then circulate and have some sort of volume and liquidity out into other markets, and is actually something that people want to use. So the Hero is a really good example of a system that allows people to have something very stable, something predictable, something that has a very reasonable rate of return that they don't have to worry about any sort of, and sorry, I'm mostly speaking to the camera right now, but any sort of volatility risks. The person that bears the volatility risk is a person who is out there creating these into circulation. So instead of us having some sort of reserve, goes out there and starts printing coins or throwing, hey, we're running low on volume over there, crank up another million coins and put them out there. What we have is it's almost like a user-based system of creating these coins, putting them into circulation. So the other users in the audience, everybody in here right now, can go out there and can create some of these Hero coins for other people to then take and use and extract a value that is a good, predictable value. Now, what is in it for people who want to go create those coins? the people who want to create those coins and lock up their collateral, they're betting on BitShares rising and going up in value at a much higher rate than 5%, and so they're willing to lock those up in order to allow people to share in the value of BitShares rising. They share a small percentage of their gains with those holders in the hopes that they're going to get a higher return later on by removing some out of circulation, by selling them to somebody at maybe a little bit higher premium than what the hero is worth right now, which is like, I don't know, $164 and some change, I think, something around there, is what the price feeds at. So by using BitShares and by using graphene, we're unlocking the capabilities of actual value-based money systems, and again, value-based economy. The next thing on our list, so we've been busy guys, and it wasn't even 12 months from the launch of the hero. We got about, 7 months, 6 or 7 months, and we launched another currency called the QUINTRIC monetary system. And I'm going to go into that in depth on the next presentation quite a bit more. But what it is it's a monetary system that now allows people to track the value of gold and silver, legal tender, specie tender. It's a specific type of tender that is recognized internationally and in the United States as being legal to pay public and private debts, which is a very, very important thing and aspect. And I think for the mass acceptance of cryptocurrency by people, regular people, and governments and entities and banks and investment funds and things like that, a coin like the QuintRic coin is what is absolutely needed in order to compel them to do that, because it's a very compelling case. And we'll get to that on the next one. And we can move to the next slide if you have another slide.
Well,
Did you have anything you want
yeah,
to
I guess I'll just pick up one more thing on
tokens.
This is all about the flight to safety I'm talking about. These are the quality products I'm talking about, right? So we've got this kind of quality, a nice stable coin without any counterparty risk that gives a 5% return. That's an exciting new financial product that ought to get popular once BitShares is growing steadily and reliably. The QuintRic gold back, and there's lots of variations on that we can look at. Tokens is just a brand name for one type of security token. That's where you go get the proper government approval to be a legal licensed security. Now you've got high quality. It's hard to get. It takes time and it's galling, and we'd love to bypass that, but it's worth it to go get it, because once you've got it, you've got something that even institutional investors can move to. And that's another part of our strategy is if we can produce a product that institutional investors feel confident in, then we can get a whole lot more liquidity into our markets.
I think what's important about that too is the fact that the BitShares blockchain in pretty much all graphene chains, all graphene-based chains inherently have the ability for the chain operators and the people who create tokens on those networks to follow international regulations and be in compliance with those because of what we built into it initially, right? The options to do KYC or not do KYC in order to transfer a token back to you for any reason if you need to have a handle on that sort of thing. That's for maybe clawing back at banks or anything like that. There's letters of intent. I mean, you can really go pretty broad on the capabilities of BitShares and the graphene chains. The security token aspect is a very important one because, as Stan said, that's where you're going to see a lot of tokens going over the next year or two, and people who are looking to launch is they're going to either be compliant by registering as a security, or they're going to register as an exemption for securities, in their jurisdiction, and in any jurisdiction they're going to be selling or somebody's going to be holding that type of token. Why? Because government regulators are now kind of catching up to the point where the IRS can start auditing blockchains and start saying, hey, you know what? Instead of us just going to chase everybody down, we'll just go subpoena the records from Coinbase and have them hand it all to us, and then we'll just go ahead and just put that through this nifty little AI software we wrote over here. And that'll just tell us everybody that filed taxes but didn't ever state that they had Bitcoin gains or otherwise. So they're catching up to us because remember, I mean, Bitcoin's been around long enough for about 8 years, 9 years now almost. They've had time to get the bureaucracy, machine rolling and get to that point. What's going to happen even more? Well, they're just going to be encouraged to do it even more because they're going to start getting money. They're going to start seizing different companies, businesses, and otherwise getting those assets and encouraging them to continue to do that. So in order to combat that and in order to remain legitimate and in order to actually have industrial and commercial acceptance from investment advisors and funds and everybody like that, you have to go play some ball with these guys. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's going to want to do that, or I'm not saying that it's necessary in every single case. What I am saying is that we allow that to happen through creating the tools necessary for them to be able to comply if needed and also not have to worry about it if it's not the case that they have to worry about it. Now, I think those are very, very important because otherwise you have to start writing more software in order to be compliant and do this, that, and the other, and it's like adding pieces and parts to it when the entire blockchain is built with that in mind.
Okay, very good. And now, a test question. This is the perfect audience for this question. Does anybody recognize the coin in the lower right corner? You don't count. Yes! Lion Danny got it. What did you say?
The far right one.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and it's on the grid.
Yes.
I mean, I'm ready.
Who's on?
Okay.
Yeah, and who's on it? Yeah, and whose coin was that?
Who's going? Yeah. Who is the coin? Who found it? His father, Philip too. Philip the
Philip of Macedonia. Yeah.
When he came,
I'm glad to see you guys know your history. All right.
when he came
This is their turf, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
And can I say something else? Because I'm not sure what to say, but I didn't want to interrupt. This lady in QUINTRIC,
Yeah.
she's the goddess of justice, not legal.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah, there's all kinds of irony, isn't there? Okay, so the reason I mentioned that is there is another thing going on. President Xi of China has started his One Belt, One Road initiative, which is bringing back the original Silk Road that went from North Korea clear across Asia and over to Rome. And he wants to build a new one that does that, branches out into a lot of the countries south of China to provide new economic growth for them. And the belt is actually a series of ports that allow shipping to wrap around, go through the Suez Canal, and connect in somewhere in the south coast of Europe, the Riviera, I don't know where. But they all wind up at Brussels, I guess, or somewhere in that part. So now you've got an entire infrastructure going across everything. And we've been working with some people that are involved with a series of museums that chart the history of that Silk Route and getting the possibility of adding another piece of infrastructure called the graphene ecosystem that we can tie everything together and do electronically what the roads and railroads and pipelines and shipping lanes that President Xi has imagined, putting all that together and working with leaders of different countries all around the world, in Africa, in the South Pacific, different places in South America. And so there's so much opportunity, and by being involved in that, and of course Alexander the Great was one of the guys who took advantage of the Silk Route, which predates him clear back to Genghis Khan in terms of when it was actually in existence. But Alexander the Great, around 300 BC, was a major figure along that Silk Road. And we're not talking about the Silk Road that was the drug ring or something. This is solid history that the president of China wants to promote and sort of to project a lot of excess economic capacity to building better infrastructure, tie Asia together and tie it. So BitShares is right in the middle of all that kind of stuff. And you'll be hearing about that when we're allowed to talk about it at several connection points all around the third world, if you will, connecting indigenous peoples of different types. It's really an exciting area where we can deal with that. Let's go to the next slide there, Michael. This is the hero that Michael's already talked about. But I just wanted you to look at the price factors. The U.S. dollar, since the Federal Reserve took over on almost Christmas Eve, the 23rd of December, 1913, and immediately started printing money and debasing it. And the value of the dollar back then, by definition, equals the value of the euro. Back in 1913, the euro was equal to one $1913. But it is programmed to grow by 5% against the dollar while the dollar is being printed and driven to zero. And so this is what the purchasing power of the euro would have done if it had been in existence and growing against the dollar all that time. And you can see what a difference an extra 5% makes in terms of having real honest money. Now, that same thing could be defined against the euro or any other reference point. We did it against the dollar basically to poke fun, smack talk against the Federal Reserve for what they've done to the dollar and show them what real honest money should be doing as we go along. So that's another thing that we have there for people to talk about and consider using. I think a day of deposit to day of return 5% annual percentage rate is a pretty good thing for a retirement savings account. And what is the big problem we've had with the hero so far? We're not yet immune to big downturns in the industry. People who short the hero into existence have gotten hurt by the huge declines that have happened a couple times since we introduced it. Okay. In order to get those out there and stable, we need other stabilizing effects that will cause BitShares to be purchased reliably and regularly and take it out of the hands of the speculators and take it out of the hands of tied to Bitcoin is how you purchase it. So when Bitcoin drops, we automatically drop when we didn't do anything that day. Right? If we can get a lot of our sales denominated in QuintS, which are nice and stable, and if that becomes a big market for BitShares, then we can get a little bit more immunity to what Bitcoin's doing. And if we can get people purchasing BitShares and BitShares products with some of the techniques we'll talk about, then we can bias it into a growth where people will dare to short the hero into existence and other bit assets that we've got. And, then it'll reach its full promise. But right now, it's pretty wild seas out there, and it's kind of hard to make something like this work if you don't add the stabilization to it. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and give you guys an electrical engineering envelope, right? You're supposed to make it super simple. And so naturally, we can't talk about rocket science all the time. We have to talk about electrical engineering, bring it down to where the average person can talk about it. But if you think about what you can get out of plug into the wall, is you get a nice big sine wave of 120 or 240 volts, okay? If you fed that straight in to your computer circuitry, it would just fry everything. So you run it through this brick that you've got, which has got a transformer in there and a rectifier that turns that down into a lower voltage and makes it always stay positive. And then you fill that through some things called capacitors that just basically soak up energy whenever the sine wave is going to zero. And when it peaks up, or when it's going to the peak, it soaks it up and then gives it back to fill in everything. And so what you get coming out of that stage is something that's got some ripple on it. Still not good enough for a computer, but it's a lot nicer. And then you run it into the final stage, which is a little computer chip, which is called a voltage regulator, and that takes it out to perfectly stable to go into your computer chips. And you can't feed that raw ocean waves stuff straight into the delicate machinery of our bit assets, right? So everything we're doing to try to smooth out the rough seas is where we're focusing our energy now. We know bit assets work if the seas aren't too rough. Let's make the seas calmer. And we do that by generating more demand for BitShares so that there's more buying pressure so that it doesn't experience the big drops. And we do it by disconnecting it from Bitcoin, driving its price so we're having it priced in QuintS. So those are some more things we're trying to do. Okay, next one there. Do you know what what this means, Marty. It means that we are getting better and better at being able to engineer custom currencies for people. And that's really, BitShares is a smart coin factory, right? So not only is it fast, but its real place where it shines is ability to mix and match some of these properties I've talked about. And we're getting the opportunity to talk to heads of governments in some of these third world countries who are asking us for proposals as to what we could do using our system. Other people are coming to them and say, hey, we can make you a coin. It'll be an altcoin. You know, why don't you have a Southeast Asia altcoin? We'll set up mining for it, and it'll be just great. You'll get 7 transactions per second, and it'll grow in value. You know, they tell the old Bitcoin story. You know, that ship is pretty much sailed. But that's what our competition has. What do we have? Go ahead there, Michael. We are actually talking to people who have illiquid wealth of all different forms. I'll just use as a simple example a big stack of gold bullion sitting in a bunker somewhere in their country. Okay, and they say, how can we help our people with this wealth? You know, we can't just give it all out, but can we use it back a currency or something? So we could come along, and that's what I spend some of my time doing. You can take that and you can hypothecate it with the bank and have them convert it into cash, dollars or euros or whatever. And with that, you can go to deliverable metal, like we've done with the Quint or the international Quint, which has, you know, a lot of these different types of coin. You can make legal tender with the actual Quint type thing. You can set up a BitShares endowment, like the Billion Hero campaign is one example, right? You put in any amount set aside, hope it's going to grow, and borrow against it to never touch the principal. Okay, and if we can get lots of people building an endowment and borrowing against it while their principal grows, we can get a lot of BitShares being taken out of circulation and locked up in endowments and cause the very effect that we're seeking. And then that's how we get a smart coin like the Hero or something else. So when we go in and talk to them, we say to them, you know, let's engineer something that fits what you want to do. And we've got tons of tools to do that. And so that's what we spend a lot of our time doing is writing proposals and telling people how to engineer a coin specifically for them. Next there, Michael. Okay. One of the things we can talk about later, but I think this is a good break point, is on Connie's show, I've been talking about a number of cryptocurrency trends. And on her coast-to-coast show on Christmas Eve, I spent 4 hours talking about just 4 trends. So there's a lot of material here. If we get to it and want to talk about some of these trends, then we can let these be discussion topics. And, you know, I'll tell you what each one is, and if somebody has a comment, maybe that'll stimulate some conversation. If we don't get to it, that's fine too. But I'm going to save this slide till after Michael's presentation. Okay, so if everybody would like to take a short break, we'll pick up then after you've had a chance to stretch. Okay, Connie, you get to ad-lib now, just like a news announcer tonight.
I will. How long will your break be?
I think just 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay. All right. Well, we will let you all go do what you need to do, and I'll do a little talking, and we may hang up and then come back on again, or, you know, depending on how much I talk, we might just see you here. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
We'll put it until we get back.
Okay, great. Okay. All right, Blue Rockers. How are you guys? Wow. What a great event today is on Crypto Connie Tuesday. We are live. Those of you just joining us, it's Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. Connie Willis here, but Crypto Connie today because it is Crypto Connie Tuesday. And that's when we talk about cryptocurrency, right? We have our Wasted Wednesdays coming up, the cannabis world. And we have our Bigfoot Friday on Friday, and we have our Far Out Thursdays on Thursday, and we have Stan's Bible Lecture on Sunday. But right now it's Crypto Connie Tuesday, and we are with Stan Larimer along with Michael Taggart, live from Corinth, Greece. they're speaking for some people out there, and they're actually speaking in front of quite a bit of STEEMians. So those of you that are STEEMians, you're gonna, maybe we'll point them out again. I know once upon a time is there, and there was a Phoenix, Phoenix, one of them. Well, we'll ask them about that later. You can go backwards once this is run through. I want to thank those of you that are hanging out there. I really appreciate it that are in the live chat. Income Mobile is going at it with comments. I appreciate that you continue on. Anonymous user is out there. It's not over yet, you guys. Michael is going to talk as well, and he's going to give you, I think he's going to give you a whole lot more information on QuintRic. I believe that's what he's going to be doing. I just saw a little bit on there. I know he also has something going on that I wanted to ask him about that he may be talking about here. I don't want to mess up whatever his presentation might be. Sometimes I ask questions that maybe shouldn't be announced yet. But they always kind of are like, whoa, not yet, whoa, not yet. And even I'm learning as you guys learn. I just know that, hey, I know you all mentioned this not too long ago. Tell me more. Because I know there's some interesting things that we all want to know. If you notice, Stan talked about bench. Hold on to that word. Hold on to that name. Listen up when you hear it. Bench. That's going to be something to look forward to. I believe that might have something to do with the BitShares 3.0, the EOS, all this kind of stuff coming together. Keep in mind, bench. I'm sure we'll get more details as we go along, but I do know that he was talking about that just previous. Again, I think that Michael's going to be talking about QuintRic. That's definitely some news that a lot of you guys are wanting to know more about. If you've got friends that are also in the crypto world with you, this is a good time to bring them over. I'm hoping you already did that because of Stan's conversation, but now you're going to get Michael and his, I got to tell you, it's very nice to talk to a lot of people that are just, blue rockers are already open-minded. Okay. So that's fantastic. But then to hear about, these are our actual, rocket scientist guys. These are actually our geeks, on steroids. Their minds are incredible, and the way they think and the way they pull things together to have a better future for all of us financially, which of course trickles down to everything else. It's just great to be a part of it and great to have them here on Blue Rock Talk and listen to the new ideas and the new ways of life that they have for us planned, and we can be a part of that. The future's now. It really is, and I'm very happy to be a part of that. So just a reminder, you're watching Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. This is Crypto Connie Tuesday, and we are live from Corinth, Greece, or at least they are. I am here in Louisville, Kentucky, a beautiful day, and a lot going on over on this side of the world too with Blue Rock Talk. I have officially met Fuzzy through Skype. We will have new things coming up. I'm hoping we'll get Fuzzy on here at one point. And he and I are just kind of going back and forth a little bit on Skype. Really interesting guy for sure. I know everybody loves him, and he's kind of throwing some things at me that I need to know. And we'll get him live here for sure at one point too. I'll see what's going on with him to where we can put that together. Again, today it's MichaelX. We'll go with that. Michael Taggart, that name is cool. We just got to get him something as well, and I like the MichaelX. If he's cool with that, I think we should always stick with MichaelX. I love that. I think that's cool. But he's going to talk about, I want to ask him about a few things that I don't know if he's going to talk about in the presentation or not. So we'll wait until we get to oh, look at that. There's Michael there. Hey, you know what? Can I pull you in, Michael? Let's see if I can pull him in. Let me hold on here. Boom. Oh, there we go. Hey,
what's going on?
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Let me make sure I got you on. Let me make sure I have your sound on. I think I do. Hey, so you're going to be presenting next. Is that correct?
I apparently will be, yes.
All right. Yay. Okay. Can you just give me an idea of what you're going to talk about? Because I think, I wanted to ask you some questions, but not if you're going to talk about it already.
I'm going to cover a lot of the Quint in the next several slides, and then depending on how much time we have left, we may elaborate on some of the super secret stuff that we're up to right now.
Excellent. Well, the other day on Medium, you spoke about a trust wallet or some sort of wallet, or what
Trusty
was that?
Fund wallet? Yeah, the trust.
Will you be talking about that, or is that something you can just mention real quick?
I won't be covering that today, but they're starting to put out a little bit more information on it. If anybody has not read it, feel free to go to my Medium page, and you can find that. Just go to medium.com or just type into Google, just type in Medium and MichaelX 777. That's my user ID on there.
And I'll put a link below.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just go to the link there. Follow me on there. That way, every time I put out a story, it'll email you and tell you, hey, Michael's got another piece of content up. I think it's super important for people to kind of stay up to date on these kinds of things. I'm not really talking about trading strategies or what the hottest new coin on the market is this week or anything like that. I'm trying to talk about things that are going to push real adoption, real usability, things I think are important to myself and may not be important to as many other people, but I think monetary policy, gold and silver, legal tender, creating easy ways for people to understand crypto and want to get involved. Older folks in particular, they understand 5%, savings, and that's actually a fantastic return. If you've got a decent size of money just sitting in there and gaining 5% APY, that's something that could be livable depending on how much you have in there. There's a lot of different things that we're trying to do, and then we go around educating people. I believe that we're speaking at least 5 or 6 conferences, I believe, throughout the rest of this year. And that's funny because it's May 1st, and that means there's only 7 more months or so of all of that nonsense. And so that means we're going to be running around the world, doing what we do, which is educating regular folks. Sometimes they're professors, sometimes they're students, sometimes they're businesses, sometimes they're massive businesses, large level businesses, and sometimes they're politicians that just want to know a little bit more too. And it's been real fun doing that. Those are the goals that we have, and then pushing the envelope when it comes to the actual technology. That's the fun part for us too.
Yeah, and for people like me as well. We're like, but we love to hear this.
Please make sure you ask as many questions as possible about the content that we've presented so far. I see a few of them in there, but I would love to see more. So feel free to do that. And also about what we're going to present coming up on this next segment, feel free to ask as many questions as possible. And of course, Connie's very, very thorough, so I'm sure if we don't cover them on this presentation here and cover the actual questions, there'll be a BlueRocktalk that we'll be able to pick up the slack on, go back and visit some of the comment questions and stuff like that. So
absolutely.
Be more than so.
Yeah, great. Excellent. Well, we're looking forward to talking to you, or at least watching your presentation here. So go ahead and prepare. I know you got to do a little meditation or whatever. I don't know if Stan could put his face in there. Is he right there next to you still while you get ready?
Yeah.
How about I move it to your seat?
Oh, there you go.
Just don't mess up that wonderful shot we had.
Meeting with Stan. Here's
fireside chat with Stan.
There you go. Need to get a smoking jacket and a fireplace.
There you go.
Somewhere around.
Hey, taste that and see if it's okay.
You know what? It's going to have to be.
Well, I feel like I should bring my own little glass of wine here too, but it's just 1 in the afternoon. Not that there's a problem. Oh, it's already been seen. Keep it there, Stan. It's already been seen. He's hiding his big old pitcher of wine. What was that? That was like a Samson and Goliath kind of glass, like Henry VIII kind of size glass.
Yeah, we have to get really high test stuff when they only give us that amount.
That's excellent. Yeah. So because what time is it there? Let's see, it's almost 2. So what is it? Almost 9 there?
Well,
yeah, 9 o'clock.
Okay. You know what?
People are a glutton for punishment.
If you can turn your monitor down a little bit more, it won't cut out as much. Just where you can hear us.
You mean turn down your voice?
Well, yeah, as much as you can, because we get the feedback and then you cut out.
Silencing Connie, that's good.
Unless you got earbuds, man, you got to turn that down. us radio folk got to worry about audio so everybody can hear you. So,
Didn't he even know what this was?
It came out of the box, and I think it's been sitting there a long time.
Wait a minute. Hey, yo. A little more. Scoot over a little more.
Scoot over
There
like
you
that?
go. There you go. Yeah, now we got you. Because I've got you kind of split in half there. There we go. So how's it going for you so far? You feel pretty good about your presentation? I think everybody on this side liked it.
Well, I got my hard work done for the evening, so now I can turn it over to Michael, and he can take us down deep into the Quint and some of the other things that we got going. So.
Yeah, in the live chat right now, John LaRue said he couldn't get Quint. Problem with the transaction. And you want to know, are the bugs getting worked out? Should I worry about it the next time I try?
Well, it's our highest priority project, so. Of course the bugs will get worked out. If people want to let us know if they're having difficulty with anything, we're certainly willing to forward that to the engineering team that is trying to get it built out. We keep in mind this is pre-release before the big July 4th show.
True.
And at that time...
I'm just going to drink.
What's that?
I said, this is our option.
Okay.
I'm going for it.
All right.
What's he do? Oh, he's got to stick with that wine. He's not happy with it.
I'm going for it. I'm a soldier.
No, if I happen to listen to Michael speak, I might as well drink it any.
Yeah. Hey, he's going to need something. It doesn't matter if it's peach dinner.
So you're saying all that stuff is going to be fixed along the way. Is there a Telegram for Quint, or do they just go to BitShares Telegram?
Yeah, there's a special Telegram channel for it. It's called
At QuintRic.
At QuintRic. Hey, once, Paul.
So that's good for you, John LaRue. There is a Telegram or at QuintRic under Telegram. That's where you can ask questions immediately and get answers pretty quickly. Even though now I know people also, of course, still having some problems on the BitShares exchange. However, I know you are desperate. Well, not desperately, but I guess, well, I don't know, desperately works too, right? Whenever there's problems. But you are really, really working on that. Is that what Bench is about?
Well, that's one of the things Bench is about. We'll talk about that in the upcoming hour.
Okay.
As much as we're allowed to talk about it, there's some things that we're holding. But you can summarize Bench is our fix for everything that needs fixed in an EOS world. And that means there's a lot of clever thinking going on as to how to ride that wave, and Bench is our circuit. But certainly one part of the Bench system is a much nicer user interface. And so, we'll be talking a little bit about right now. I haven't seen what Michael's going to say, but he usually nails it, so we'll put it up there for him to talk about. And then, any little tidbits that he leaves untouched, we'll bring up when we throw it open for questions. And this whole group was telling me that they didn't like the idea that I called intermission without giving them a chance to ask questions. Okay, because they were all sitting here primed to ready to ask questions.
That is very mean of you. That is so rude. That they are exactly right. You are rude. When you do that, please just repeat the question that they said, just in case we don't hear it. Before you answer it. That'd be great, because we'd like to hear all that too. I'm sure they're on the same guidelines and thought as everybody else here in the live chat. So we know that we're going to hang out. The Blue Rockers are out there getting a little popcorn, getting a little sandwich or something like that since it's lunchtime, and bringing it back to continue watching. Even a little Penny is back here barking away saying, "Hey, Connie, get me a little lunch, get me a little snack too," while I watch Stan and MichaelX.
Very good. Anybody that would like to ask a question, either work your way up here and speak live, or if you're shy, you can do it behind the screen where we can hear you. And if you're super shy and don't even want to have your voice heard on there, then I'll repeat it. But however you do it.
Well, I'm going to throw it totally over to you, Stan. You're going to be the only picture on, okay?
Okay. Alina is one of those babes that was in the first picture. Okay.
Shall I come there?
Yes, come here.
No, I don't have to.
No, you're used to being on camera. You come up here.
Bring her on. Bring her on. We're going to throw it to you. I was going to do picture-in-picture, but I just can't figure that one out. So there we go.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, my gosh.
I'm Lena A15 again. How are you?
Hey there. Nice to
Good.
To meet you there. I'll get back on the screen here. So do you have a question for her? Look at you. She's a gorgeous lady there in Greece. They must love you being there. Excellent.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And I love the green. That's a pretty color. So you're adding some life to that place there for sure.
Springtime color. Since it's like summer already here, but
Absolutely.
It's still spring really.
Absolutely. So are you also on STEEM? Is that?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
And what is it? I'm sorry. What's your name?
It's my name on STEEM.
What is your name again? Say it again.
Alina, Alina, K15.
All right. All right. Make sure you guys follow her. I'm at bluerocktalk. So, were you going to ask?
Thank you.
Yeah. There you go. Absolutely right. And not just follow her, but upvote her too. All right.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. So let me see if I can get all of you guys on. I'm just going to throw it over to you, both of you, Stan. That way you can do whatever you need to do there, and I don't need to be a part of it. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. So since we have just had the baton tossed to you, you ask your question first, and then you can be the person that repeats questions for people who don't.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I can do it. Yes. Yes. Okay. So while we're on break outside, I asked Stan something that I wanted to ask him before. So he was showing us before about what happened today with STEEM and BitShares and the rest, like Bitcoin and all the rest, and how they squashed a little bit. And I said to him, when EOS is going to launch, what's going to happen? That squashing, how it's going to evolve, and how is it going to be towards BitShares? And Sam said something very beautiful, which I would like him to repeat again.
Well, yeah, the thing about it is it's not a given, right? When you're talking about the monster wave coming in, at Waimea Bay, you think of your favorite Beach Boys song about surfing, and
right.
We got to surf this wave. But if we are ready and can ride the wave, then we'll be driven along. I'm not saying that EOS is playing favorites. They're trying very hard to be a neutral platform. And so they're not, they're not trying to give us any special advantage, although Dan Larimer does come by once in a while and drop a cryptic hint for us on the forums, saying something like, you guys ought to do this or you ought to do that. And then he disappears and we're all sitting there, like that. Okay, so we occasionally get a cryptic hint, but in general I think he's counting on the fact that the community is full of smart people who can probably take that hint and figure out what it means. And there's not necessarily one solution. And in fact, there are multiple camps of people who might even be doing what do they call it, co-opetition, where there's a little bit of competition and a little bit of cooperation going on at the same time. And of course, if you're going to modify the BitShares blockchain in any way, you need to get permission enough of us to actually do that. And there's good reasons why you don't want to maybe modify the BitShares blockchain. When we did the upgrade from BitShares 1 to BitShares 2 a few years ago, we called it a pitchfork, as opposed to just a little fork where in Bitcoin, their idea of a fork is argue about the size of the blocks for a year and then change how you pack the data in the block and call it a big fork the next year. We do a pitchfork that's the size of a jump from the original version of Depos up to Graphene, which took things greatly. But it did leave some people behind who had been building on the old stuff. And when you do a pitchfork, suddenly their stuff doesn't work anymore. So that was one of the lessons we learned. This time, we're not likely to even ask the community to adopt something big because that could break other people's stuff. So we're taking a more layering approach. Other blockchains, and EOS gives us the ability to have inter-blockchain communications that we can take advantage of, and then layering some even bigger stuff on top of that, which you'll hear about. We actually got the bench network up and running just yesterday, I think it was, or today, well, whatever. Anyhow, it's real hot out there. So that is going to give us the ability to fully exploit whatever EOS is doing without needing to give us unfair help, take advantage of what they've done. And so we either get ground into the beach by that big wave if we get it wrong, or we watch the wave sail away from us if we miss the crest, or if we can stay right on top, we can start picking up some really good.
That has been helpful, but also you mentioned bench, so I'd like to know a few more things about it. So what can you tell us about bench? Like, should we look towards it? Like, what is it exactly? Can we have
we might give a little teaser after my next presentation.
Yeah, Michael will drop some hints about that.
Okay.
And I guess I won't steal his thunder, but yeah, that's coming. This is to make people stay the whole show, because bench is kind of a whole collection of things. It's not just one secret. There's a lot of different parts to it that are really quite aggressive and amazing, each in its own way.
We've been told that.
Yeah.
There's someone there.
So we'll see. Yeah, there's a few people here that we'll have to shoot because we told them too much when we first got here. But at any rate, any more questions?
Well, we've been talking again before on the break about BitShares and their marketing strategy, and we've been saying that BitShares is like a Methodist church, which is very, very humble. But right now, maybe you should go like become an Orthodox church, which is flourish with gold and choir singing and So what do you think?
Well, it's got some merit to it. Yeah, I like the idea of decorating BitShares like I saw some of the churches around here are decorated, and they are extremely impressive. And it's that little question of which is it better, to be very humble or to be very attention-getting. I know that when you walk into an Orthodox church, you see the glory of God. It's man's mere attempt at showing the glory of God. Okay, but the whole service is one for creating this awesome atmosphere that you have no doubt that you're walking into the presence of our Creator. In the Methodist Church and a lot of Protestant churches, not all, there are some big churches that take it too far, I think, but their philosophy is, like you say, more along the humility, give all the glory to God. It's two different ways of giving glory to God, right? And I can see that different people could find that useful either way. So maybe in a very slight way we can emulate that technique with BitShares and have some humility and also have some, more flashy stuff. Actually, I think we can count on EOS to produce a flash. If you ever see what they do at conferences and stuff, they put on, a big powerhouse show. We did that once back in Hollywood last May, where Michael and I stood up on a big pizzazzy show, and that's gotten a lot of views from that particular thing. So we can pull it off once in a while, and maybe we'll do some of that in the future. Or maybe we'll just say, when you're as great as we are, it's hard to be humble.
Yeah, why not?
Anything else?
Not for me. Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, you can even speak Greek to her if you want, or you can get on camera, whichever you want. Yeah, cover up that. We have a politically incorrect T-shirt coming in.
Stay on the chat here.
Hello. How are you? I'm Mr. Panas from STEEM. You can see me or should I see?
You sit right here.
I just want to point out the only people I've met from Greece wear leather jackets in 75-degree weather.
I've got my leather jacket there. Should I bring it to?
It's not 50 yet.
Yeah, we need a heat wave.
All right. I'm more bullish, let's say, on STEEM. I wasn't really experienced on Twitter, or I was a day trader. Right? DEXs, decentralized studies. I learned that from the time I was in STEEM, from Dan, following Once Upon a Time, Stan, Lion Danny. And now that EOS is coming out, my biggest concern, I think, for most Steemians will be what will happen. At some point, Dan, of course, will find the need to implement a better Steemit on his new platform, probably. So, should Steemians worry? Should they diversify their invested time on Steemit?
Shall we search for the exit
EOS
or
or wait for Dan to announce the next social blockchain, EOS?
Well, Dan hasn't told me what he's going to do. I can only say that he did say he wanted to create a new version of Steemit on top of EOS. So, yeah, that's
he doesn't.
I will. But what is his plans for it? I mean, there are issues of, does he do some type of a shared drop on existing Steem? Does he make the new product incorporate everything off of the other blockchain? One of the things we're looking at is whenever we do something new, we do it as a fork off of an existing blockchain, so you don't lose all that wonderful data that's there, all those previous posts, and so on. So if he wanted to, he could certainly make it so that it was a favorable experience for people who own Steem, but I don't know if he's going to do it.
If he can do it, then
The answer is where be happy.
okay, I'm happy.
Yeah, I would still keep making great content.
And you said he's friends with Vitalik? If he cooperates with Vitalik for a project, can we know it beforehand?
Only if one of them announces it. I'm sure they're not going to.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, once again, there have been lots of times when they get involved in two sides of a debate, and everybody passionately believes his particular side, and that's good. But they respect each other, and I've seen them walking along deserted city streets down in North Carolina, having deep discussions all by themselves.
I have a picture of this.
Oh yeah. So and I've seen them playing miniature golf as well, and I've seen one of the two of them do a whiff at miniature golf, but I won't say which.
Can we guess?
Yeah, sure. I'm not going to tell you.
I think that. I will put my money there. Okay, guys. Hey, I'm Skapaneas. Vote for me on Steam.
And 15. I'll be waiting.
Excellent. Stan, if you can, so that was great, Stan. Thank you very much for that. If you can tell the folks there that are fellow Steemians to go to the @bluerocktalk, my Steam page, if they could go and then re-steam what I sent out, it was to tell people where to go to watch this live. So if they can re-steam what I had just put up, my latest post, it will have everybody be able to click you on, since we still have Michael coming up to do some speaking. So that would be great at the @bluerocktalk.
Okay, yeah, anybody that's got access to the ability to re-steam that would be great to get the word out. Onto the Blue Rock Talk, @bluerocktalk.
And Steem it.
Yeah, and down there you'll see what's up there already, and you can just re-steam it.
Yeah, we'll get some more people on there as well. We had some people ask if you can tell them how to buy EOS, as much as you've been talking about it. They said, how can we buy it in the U.S.? We're having trouble.
Well, they can't sell it in the U.S. because the U.S. is no longer the land of the free, and American citizens are being prevented from purchasing stuff because of the fear regulators have put into them. So a lot of people would love to offer stuff to American citizens, but they can't. And, that's a fundamental regulatory problem that we have. And until enough Americans jump up and scream like they did back in Prohibition, which now allows us to have a glass of wine when we want it. But there was a time when Americans couldn't have wine by constitutional amendment. So, while we like to talk about being the land of the free, a lot of times we aren't. It's a never-ending battle against the forces of big government and sometimes we win, and sometimes we lose. But right now, you have to go through third parties to get it, and maybe Michael can comment on what he thinks is the best way to do that.
I love SEC and regulations.
Yeah, because there are actually ways to get it until then, so I do know that. Is there, can maybe Michael or whoever can help out with that?
She'd like to know, how would a mere mortal get their hands on some EOS?
Well, I mean, if you're a U.S. citizen, you're barred from buying it from their site. It's that simple.
Where's that voice coming from? There we go.
Right. Yeah, no, you can't buy it from their site because you're barred. And I'm not really going to show anybody how to get around that for obvious reasons. One of them being the fact that this is a part of public record at this point. So that's one. I would say if they want to and they feel like they want to get them, there's several different places to get it. Most exchanges carry EOS as a token on the network, and you can just purchase any other type of cryptocurrency that you want to and trade it in there. One of the easiest to trade it for is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, BitShares, any of those. You might as well buy some BitShares, stack some of those, and then maybe go buy some EOS with it too. You can also go to the BitShares DEX, and you can purchase open.eos, which is equivalent to EOS, and in that way you can trade it out of the DEX into the Ethereum blockchain, and it'll change from open.eos to just EOS. And when you transfer EOS into the BitShares DEX, it turns from EOS to open.eos. So if you want to go to the BitShares DEX, that's one way to do it. But either way, go get some other cryptocurrency, and then you can trade it in for EOS on a secondary exchange. So most of the exchanges that are out there, I don't encourage anybody to use any centralized exchange except to get into cryptocurrency and then promptly transfer it out of the centralized exchange into a decentralized exchange like BitShares DEX, OpenLedger, GDAX, any of those guys that are out there. All right.
Okay, very good. Any more questions, anybody?
Excellent. I know that I wanted to let you know the update with BitShares off of one of the exchanges I'm looking at right now is 35 cents. We'll keep it going up. We know that it went up to, I think, about 92 at one point, and then it dropped back down, but it is slowly rising back up again at 35 cents. And it's exciting to watch this happen again because I do know, I guess, there's been a lot of excitement all the way around this week with all the numbers going up. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, we're not going to go commenting on price stuff. See, once again, we're the land of free speech, and I can't talk about something I'm very excited about. All right? So, but that's, rah, Connie, you go.
Oh, so you're saying you legally cannot talk about it?
Well, it's not in our best interest to talk about
I think I can, but why tempt fate? Yeah. So I won't.
Yep. And that's, they're saying that because they want to not have guns in their head in the morning one time when they wake up.
Well, it's happened to people we know, so there you go. What I would say is if you would like to talk about prices, we've got several Telegram channels for the BitShares community. Just go into Telegram, type in BitShares and trading or BitShares and traders, and there's a couple of channels. Go in there and ask or talk about prices all you want to. I wouldn't say that it is kid-friendly channels. I would say make sure that you are above the age of 18 when you tread into one of those places. Yeah. And that's just me giving you a warning there. So.
No, it's good to know these things. A lot of people are just getting in, and even myself, been doing this for maybe 6 or 7 months now. It's we don't know all the rules. We don't know what we can or cannot do. So it's great when you guys tell those things. Really appreciate it. So those of you just now joining us, you're watching Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. Connie Willis here. It is Crypto Connie Tuesday, and there's a bunch of people right there in Corinth, Greece. Say hello to everybody. Hello. Live. Hey, let's hear y'all make some noise. Woo! They are live there, and they are watching Stan Larimer, the godfather of BitShares, and MichaelX doing a meeting right now. They're speaking and telling everybody all sorts of good stuff. We are getting some secrets as well, and we're waiting now for MichaelX to speak. Tell me, just let us know when you guys are ready. We're ready on this side.
All right.
Oh, get him.
Ready?
All right.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know. Maybe I should have said this a while ago. Did I have control of that? And there's the better half of Michael right there. There you go, everybody. Michael's booty live on Blue Rock Talks Crypto Connie Tuesday. Coming soon, Wasted Wednesdays with cannabis industry knowledge, and that's 10 p.m. Eastern. Coming soon. Bigfoot Fridays on Friday. Thursdays, Far Out Thursdays, and Stan's Bible Lecture on Sundays. And we are ready to go. We're going to pass on the torch to Michael.
And move this forward. Or is it good work? Cool. All right. Just want to make sure everybody can see there. So I'll try to not stand in front of this. All right. We're going to talk about. There we go. Connie wasn't moving. I want to make sure it wasn't frozen. Okay, we're good. So I want to talk about QuintRic today. That's one of the. Thank you, Connie. You guys can't see what she's doing on here right now, but it's funny. I want to talk about QuintRic and the future of honest money. Pretty much what I was alluding to last time in discussion, which is creating an economy that is based on value, that is based on actual worth versus one that's on debt. A debt-based economy has been how the world has answered monetary policy forever. It starts off well and good. It starts off fine. With like Roman denarius, right? Or with a gold eagle somewhere, and then always some bad actor, a centralized organization or centralized entity comes in there and controls enough power in this process to start taking a little off the top for themselves. And, oh, well, we need just a little bit more to push our profit margins for our shareholders or something along those lines. Doesn't matter how they want to justify it. What they are doing is they are extracting value out from the people who are depositing their hard work, their hours of their day, that they're going out there and creating and doing, and their intellectual property that they're putting into some sort of token to trade around for value. And they're extracting that value, and they're taking it, and that is, for all intents and purposes, what you would call it any other place in a court of law, theft. Okay? And that's a problem. So when you start talking about the history of money, no fiat currency in the history of the world has ever succeeded, and no central bank in the history of the world has ever succeeded. I don't know why we ever think that we're going to roll the dice one more time and this is going to be the lucky one, because the policies have not worked, and the mindset of approach when you approach monetary policy and economic policy has always been, for the most part, by these centralized entities, debt-based, because it keeps business good for them. Not for you, not for the consumer, not for anybody else, for them, and only them, and nobody else. And that is the hook. And they promise you all sorts of things. Let's say, for instance, the World Bank, which is extremely popular here in Greece, as well as other places, right? Where they come in here and the European Union has come in and offered them all these amazing loans so they can go build a bunch of stuff. But loans come with strings attached to them. And the World Bank's help comes with strings attached to it. And those strings are in the form of interest. And interest is imaginary money that's created out of nowhere that you all of a sudden owe because somebody gave you some balance of money, and it's not in circulation, it doesn't exist, but now it's all of a sudden there and you're going to have to pay it back. And the hook is to get you owing enough interest that you'll never be able to pay back the actual balance of what you owe, but not even that, just the bill due in the first place. And once they have you, they're never going to let you go. Because why? Now you're a cow to be milked, and that's just plain and simple how it goes. So with QuintRic, we wanted to approach this in a different way. Ever since I read the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, and that's a book, if you have not read that book, everybody here should read that book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. And it's by, who is that? G. Edward Griffin, or H. Edward Griffin, or whatever, you know. And he basically, if you go and look at it, they update it every couple of years. And in this book, he talks about the history of central banking, the history of money, the history of what it all means. And it's a fantastic book that tells you everything about everything you didn't know, especially things like, American invented communism through the use of writing checks to the American Red Cross. American Red Cross funded the entire communist campaign and all of the other actual people that were out there overthrowing the Tsar at the time. They pretty much paid them all. They got copies of the checks that they'll show you and everything like that. And it shows that this monetary policy of going out there and overthrowing governments and installing central banks and doing all this has been going on for a very, very long time. And it hasn't changed. And what it all means to you and what's going to happen in the future when they have to go to a one world currency and things like that. And this was written a long time ago. Again, it's updated up until the time, but they were talking about one world currency even then. And what's very scary about that, I think it's around chapter 25 or 26, is where it appears to be everything that's been happening since around 2007 till now is essentially what you're watching happen. Is what he's talking about in the book there about the downfall of the currency that's in circulation right now, the reserve currency, which is the Federal Reserve note right now, the United States dollar bill, and the installation of a one world currency and how that would all work. And it's eerily similar to this. So when I read that, it got me really, really impassioned. That and Ron Paul talking about sound money mechanics, audit the Fed, and things like that, which I had never really understood previous to him talking about it. Started doing some research and thought to myself, how is it that all of us have got sucked into this insane nightmare? Because I think that all of us are smarter than that, but maybe not. Maybe if you don't know about this, maybe if you just, that's the way business is always done, that's something you never think of. So when we go along those lines, I started learning about gold and silver. I started learning about precious metals, monetary policies, and I thought to myself, the blockchain, when I discovered it, is going to be what we can use to finally do what gold and silver and what fiat currency was supposed to do without the need for these bankers, without the need for these people who are, at intents and purposes, siphoning off value from everybody else in the name of banking and services, or whatever they want to call it. They make you pay for the privilege of making you pay, which is odd to me, but that's the way it works. So we wanted to go out there and create something different. QuintRic is the product that we came up with, but it is the answer to what I think gold and silver need to be. So QuintRic is what we call real money that really works. QuintRic is essentially gold and silver in the form of legal tender. Okay, legal tender laws are different than just having gold and silver commodities. Okay, you can have a bunch of gold somewhere in bullion status, and it's not treated the same necessarily as legal tender, especially in the United States. It's treated differently. However, if it is in the form of legal tender, which is certified by the U.S. Mint in the United States, and then there's international authorities that will certify the use of the other types of currencies that are in circulation for internationals, like the gold maple leaf, and there's, the Australian
Philharmonic.
What else is there?
The panda, the kangaroo.
The kangaroo.
The Britannia.
Yeah.
Cougar.
Right. So all these are out there, and those are seen and recognized as being legal tender in their jurisdictions. We've got, U.S. has got the gold eagle and otherwise. This is very, very important because the governments, the regulators, those entities who are running around here right now, kind of running amok in the blockchain industry because they don't understand everything that's going on in there, this is something they do understand because they're the ones that put these rules in place. And so what we're doing is we're using their rules and regulations to have the blockchain come in there and fix that up and to make a different way of money, a different way of investing in some ways, a different way of storing your value. Again, why would you want to store your value in something that you know is always going to be decreasing in value at an average rate of 5% per year? No matter where you store it, if it's in the bank, if it's in under your mattress, if it's in a hole in the backyard, it doesn't really matter. It's still going to decrease at that average rate. That doesn't seem like the best idea if you could do something different, especially if it's something that could gain you a return, like a hero, or potentially like gold and silver, like they have been. So, previously, I'm going to talk about the United States here, but I'm going to also say that this applies to a lot of other countries and nations on the planet, is that fiat currency was supposed to allow you to go redeem gold or silver on demand. The fiat, the paper money, was only meant to be used to circulate a value that could be redeemed, just like a receipt that you can redeem for something else. The problem is that when central banks and when entities and when people, greed, gets involved, they start siphoning off value and they start taking value out of that. The way this is supposed to work is there's supposed to be enough gold in the vaults to take care of every single note in existence, but that's not the case. In the United States monetary policy, you're supposed to have at least 10% on deposit in the bank. That was the rules back when. Yeah, your chances of getting that are slim to none. We're looking at less than probably 1% of all reserves that are in circulation. That means that money's not there. That means if everybody wants to go redeem their notes right now, if you just wanted to go in there and you wanted to just take your paper notes out of the bank and everybody did it at the same time, it wouldn't happen. If 5% of the people did it, it wouldn't happen. If 2% of the people went out there, you would not get your money. I know people right now that will go to the bank and say, I need $5,000 cash, and they'll say, yeah, we don't have that much here. We can't do that for you. Or they'll make them come back in a day or two because it's in between armored truck visits. We're going to a cashless society, but it's still based on electronic fiat, which is scary, very scary to me. So what we wanted to do is return to sound money. We wanted to return back to the days when you could count on, hey, I'm going to give you a pile of gold, and you're going to give me these notes to go out there and spend money with different people, and all of that gold is still going to be there no matter what. And as people come and redeem them, you'll just take a little bit out of that pile and hand it to them, and hand it to them, and hand it to them. That's it. That's what we want to return to, because that is storing your value in an asset that is not being leveraged for somebody else's use, creating imaginary money and making them rich while you're being charged for that privilege. And also the fact that they're out there spending all your gold and it's not there anymore. And it's just another thing on their balance sheets. So what we wanted to do is create something that would work for the governments to recognize, that would take advantage of the blockchain that we built. Now what we've been able to do is be able to take gold and silver, put it in a vault at 100% reserve in deposit, meaning 100% of all money that is put in there is then turned into gold and silver and is then allocated to that specific user. It's not mixed among users. It is your gold and or your silver. It's not mixed anywhere, and it's never leveraged. It's never sent anywhere else. It is 100% redeemable on demand gold and silver. The next thing we did is we applied our blockchain layer to it so we could increase the liquidity of that token. Now it can be sent anywhere in the world, gold or silver, in less than 3 seconds to anybody else who can then go out there and redeem that for gold or silver. That is what money, and that is what paper money, that is what fiat was supposed to be in the beginning. Just a way to exchange that value quickly and easily without having to take a big bag of gold, which is really heavy, from point A to point B, and then somebody else be able to then redeem that gold. And so that was the entire reason for creating all of this stuff in the first place. It wasn't meant to just, make people rich for storing that gold. Maybe they take a small fee for, security and for vaulting and stuff like that, which is reasonable. Hey, you don't have to guard your own gold, right? Somebody can come into your house and steal it at any time, and now your gold's gone. So the bank says, well, we've got a big secure building, and we've got alligators in our moat, and we've got a bunch of guys with arrows up here, and we're going to protect your gold. And you say, all right, I'll pay a small fee for that. That's reasonable, I could say. But then they started going out there and leveraging it. What we did is we made and took out the entire middleman. The blockchain is now the medium of exchange, moving it around as the financial rails for this. And now everybody can store their assets, everything that they go out there and create, their IP, their value, everything like that, in gold and silver, which has an inherent value, okay? And they're able to then transfer it amongst themselves peer-to-peer. Those peers can then go redeem those, and they can pay for it at a register. One of the exciting things about this is the simple fact that as legal tender, it's payable for all debts, public and private. You pay the taxes with it and all of that. Now, one of the reasons we also did this too is because gold and silver legal tender has specific qualities depending on the jurisdiction you're in that enable you to take advantage of. like some states, such as Arizona, Texas, Wyoming, Utah, Kansas, Georgia's on it right now. One of the Carolinas is looking at it, and I'm probably missing a few others. Louisiana have now strengthened their legal tender specie laws, and I'm just talking about the United States. International is actually much, much more liberal and much easier to work with. But they've strengthened their laws in those states to eliminate, and a lot of times, the sales tax if you use gold and silver. So if I pay with a $20 bill, I get the privilege of having to pay an extra 10% sales tax to the state for using that $20 bill. But I can use $20 in legal tender and bypass that 10% sales tax and save 10% on my purchase that moment. Who would not want to do that? I would want to do that. And that's what we're trying to enable people to do. There's other things that you can get away with using legal tender. The fact that gold and silver could also go up in value. And so now you've got more buying power. Very similar to the way that the blockchain works with Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up, you've got one Bitcoin, and it goes up even more. Now you've got more buying power, right? Alternatively, if it goes down, you have less buying power. However, with legal tender, it has a stamped value. So 1 ounce of fine gold, the United States has a $50 legal tender value. That 1 ounce may be worth, let's say today, $1,400 in melt value, in the actual value of gold if you were to extract the melt value of that gold. Okay? What that means is that if you got an ounce of gold in storage, you may have $1,400 worth of spending power. Okay? And if gold goes down to $1,350, it's still got a stamp value of $50. Let's say gold goes down and it crashes and burns forever, but it's got a stamp value of $50. That's a floor price on it. You've still got a $50 value. This means that these tokens have a double floor. This means these tokens have a double value, a dual value system, meaning that you can extract a legal tender face value out of it that governments will recognize, and you've also got a inherent metals value out of it too. So when you've got things like Bitcoin out there, it's only being valued at it's only being valued at what people think it's worth and what miners are selling it at because of their electricity costs and otherwise. And they're saying, well, all the work I'm doing in the network is what's establishing that value. I agree with that only to a certain extent. It's all in your minds anyways, right? It's in the eye of the beholder. These have inherent tangible values that are 100% tangible and recognized by the powers that be, the governments and the people who put these laws and regulations and have the guns and the armies to back it up. Okay? That's what we're doing with this. And we want to enable people to now decide whether or not you want to put it in paper money, which is not backed, ran by central bankers and people who are literally taking the value out of your own assets and the things that you do every single day when you output your work, your intellectual property and otherwise. They're extracting that value from you without giving you pretty much anything, okay? Or you can go and you can put it into something that has an inherent value, and not just an inherent value, an additional value that those entities will also say that it has, okay? Same thing with silver. Silver is about the same. In fact, I'll go back one slide. How does the Quint work? One Quint token constitutes 5 US gold cents. Okay, now we have Quint and QuintS, which are the United States versions, and then we have the IQuint, which is international Quint, and IQuintS, which is the silver version of international silver tokens. Okay, so there's those 4 metal tokens that are out there, and we can talk a little bit more. This one is 5 gold cents, which is the equivalent of 1/1000th of an ounce. Okay, that's where Quint comes from, 5. Right, 5 gold cents and 1/1000. Okay, it's U.S. legal tender and it is payable on demand. Now you have to ask for a minimum of 1,000 tokens, which is a minimum of 1 ounce. Okay, we won't give you a little teeny itty bitty tenth of an ounce. You have to redeem at least 1 ounce or more for us to give you that gold or silver. Okay. With what we have in there, and if you guys want to read the white paper, you can check it out at QuintRic.com. If anybody here, and we could talk in a few minutes about if anybody here wants to refer people to QuintRic, I can actually approve you for a referral account, and you can make a percentage of all the sales that people purchase the Quint. You get payment for it. You get a referral fee for it. And it's a minimum of 1%. We can actually raise that a little bit more depending on people and value. And if you're bringing a lot of people to us, then we can increase that. So that means you get paid in gold for referring your friends to get involved with gold and silver. And so that's very exciting. You redeem these, and when you redeem your gold and silver, it's paid out to you in gold and silver coins. All right. Same thing with silver. This is 1/20th of an ounce. It's 5 U.S. silver cents. Again, the word quint. Quint means 5, and that's 1/20th of 1 ounce of silver. Now, I think silver dollars are like $17 at the U.S. Mint right now, or so. And so that's the value of it. It's $1 is what's stamped on there, but it's worth about $17, $18 in silver. Okay, so you have two values, two floor prices, two actual value systems that you can extract out of this, which is exciting. We also have, as I mentioned before, these are the IQuint, and these are some of the different ones. Australian kangaroo. This one's that one's the British Britannia. There you go. That one's the maple leaf, the panda, and the philharmonic. And these are the international versions. For the folks that are international, when you're buying the Quint, the redemption value, basically the Quint value that you're buying are these stamped values right here. Okay? When you're in the U.S., you're buying the U.S. Mint values, the gold eagles and such. I can give you an idea of what they both kind of look like there. And that just means me. I'm still back and forth.
Nice effect.
Right, okay. Now, here's where the breakdown of actual money, okay, actual value happens. And I like this chart too because it's a pretty interesting one for me because the Quint covers everything. Now, you guys may not be able to see this at home, but I'm sure Connie will make sure that you guys have a copy of it somewhere to go out there and look. But in this first column it says, well, actually, I'll tell you what we're up against. We've got the Quint up on the top. We've got cryptos, and there's a lot of them out there. And the second one, we've got fiat currency, which is paper money, things that, euros, dollars, stuff like that are in circulation. And then we've got metal cryptos. Now, those are different than those cryptos. Those cryptos are things like Bitcoin, stuff like that. These are metal cryptos, which are things that are backed with gold. I can't remember. What's the Dubai one?
DGX.
Digix, yeah. Digix, and then there was, what was the Dubai one, though? It was like, I can't remember, gold, I can't remember what it was called. Anyways, it's backed by gold. There's some other metal cryptos out there. I think there's like 30 or 40 different goldish backed cryptocurrencies out there. I'm planning on putting an article out about that soon. But we'll talk about this from left to right. The first column says, not a security, okay? Now, the two that are covered 100% in this, and I'm not saying that every crypto is gold because I disagree, or I'm sorry, is a security because I disagree with that inherently. Some of them are, some of them aren't. But the Quint is not a security, so that's checked off. We've got cryptos, for the most part, and the SEC has kind of stated, well, we think that they're all securities, so we're going to treat them that way, and it's going to be up to you to defend yourselves in court when we come after you and spend millions of dollars of your own money that we will not reimburse to argue with us. And even if we're wrong, we were wrong, and you're out that money. That's kind of the attitude that's being taking place right now, which is, for me, disturbing. You got fiat currency, which is checked off. That's not a security. That's a liability, as far as I'm concerned. And then you've got metal cryptos, which don't fall under that because while it may not be a security, it is a commodity and it may need to be registered with an entity in a jurisdiction like this, the FTC in the U.S. or otherwise. Legal tender. Is it legal tender? Well, the Quint would be a yes. The cryptos would be no. The fiat would be yes because the governments do recognize all of the mostly worthless paper money that they put out. And then you've got metal cryptos, which is also not a legal tender. They're not recognized by any entity, by any government as being legal tender to pay taxes or any sort of debt, public or private. Spendable. Well, the Quint is spendable. Cryptos can be spendable if they accept it, but, walk down the street right here in Greece and tell me how many people here, if you ask them if they'll take Bitcoin for a glass of wine, will look at you like you're nuts. Okay, probably quite a few, right? However, a Quint can be spendable because you don't even have to ask them if they take gold or silver coins. You can just swipe your card at the register, and we do all the conversions in the background for you, so you don't really have to worry about it, and you don't have to have that awkward conversation. You can just order your glass of wine, swipe your card, and go. That's the key. Those, offer that fiat currency. Of course, if you just hand it to them, or it's tied to a bank account that you have, you can swipe and you can go. And you got metal cryptos, which we've got a big, huge question mark because maybe they take them, maybe they don't. Go ask them if they take digits. The answer is going to be what? If they don't even know what Bitcoin is, you're definitely in trouble. Okay? Is it tangible? Well, the Quint is tangible because if you say, I want my gold or silver, and you put your order in, we'll bring an armored truck. Apparently, that's what we're looking to do, where you can redeem them in vaults, or an armored truck will show up at your house and drop off your gold or silver to you. I think that's a very compelling statement. So it's tangible. You cannot go ask for all of your Bitcoins in physical form. Somebody will hand you some. Well, I'm sure somebody will sell you some Bitcoins on the street corner somewhere and then laugh at you and run with your money. But there are no tangible Bitcoins, and some people will strike them, but I'm not going to get into that rabbit hole or anything like that. Crypto is not tangible. Fiat, well, you're touching it, but is it really redeemable for anything of value? The answer is no, they're not. Most governments made it illegal for you to redeem gold or silver for the paper money that you have. That's illegal now in most places, or they banned it, or they just said, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. And metal cryptos could potentially be redeemable for precious metals, depending on the type of crypto metal that it is. But most of them that I've studied are still based on leverage. They don't have 100% reserve in there, and are likely securities in the way that they're formed. Scarce. Well, the Quint is based off of real gold and silver supplies that are in the world. So I would say, yeah, we can't really make gold and silver yet. Nobody's found that, what is it, the alchemist stone, or what is that called? A philosopher's stone, right? Which turns lead into gold. Nobody's found any of that yet, so that'd be answered. Cryptos can be scarce, but they can be scarce only because we set an arbitrary amount into existence, and therefore now they're scarce. Okay. Somebody might be able to go in there and add another 0 or 2, depending on which type of blockchain, how it's all formed. So kind of stay away from that one. Fiat currency, I wouldn't say it's scarce if you have been following what the Federal Reserve's done for the last long time. In fact, what I really find funny is quantitative easing. The last quantitative easing code name was called QE Infinity for a reason. They're not going to stop printing money. All right. And let's see, and then the metal cryptos may have a scarcity involved with them just based off of the fact that they are pegged to some sort of metal. Inherent value, the Quint has that inherent value because it still has that gold and silver metal value, not just the value that the governments recognize as being stamped on it. Okay? Cryptos don't have inherent value. It's the value that we assign to it in the free market. If none of us believe that it's worth anything anymore, guess what's going to happen to the price of that? If it's not being price manipulated by somebody, it's going to go down to 0 because it's worthless. None of us want to accept it for anything, therefore it's worth nothing. Okay? A price is always set by who? The buyer or the seller? The buyer. Buyer always sets the price. Seller can sell it at anything they want to. If they don't have a buyer, it's worth 0. Okay? Loanable. Quints can be loanable legally under U.S. regulations and international regulations. You can actually loan the value of your gold and silver to somebody else. Banks could actually use it. Banks could actually buy a bunch of Quint right now, and we can even store it in our vault, not their vault, and they could go out there and loan that value to their consumers. And at any time, they could go redeem that gold and silver, and we'll send it to that bank too. I think that banks would be very, very smart to go unload all of their paper money to us, because we'll still take their worthless dollars and give them gold and silver for it, right? They might be smart to do that, because then they actually have something of value backing what they're doing. But I wouldn't presume to tell a banker what to do at any time, right? Crypto's not loanable, and you can't get an investment fund or a bank. You can't walk into your bank and say, hey, I want to buy a car. Can I use my Bitcoin as collateral? They're going to say no. But you could, under Bank of International Settlements laws, under, well, I should say not laws, but under their findings, under their Basel rulings and stuff like that, banks and others can actually take that gold and silver and they can place loans off of it, but not on cryptos. And you can't really, you can on fiat, which is good. You know, you can take your money in there, you can take a loan off of that fiat, but you're just circulating the same dollars that are out there. Metal cryptos, you can't. Is it stable? Well, the Quint would be stable, yes, and only that it's stable with the price of gold and silver. There is some still volatility in those markets. However, it's not the crazy volatility where you say, you know, 30, 40, 50% jumps, or I saw some new crypto came out the other day, and it's like an 80% increase today, you know, alone. It's like almost $8. So you don't see that sort of stuff generally happening. If I see gold jump to 80% value or jump in 80% value, you know, I think that there's going to be something seriously wrong with the economy. So there's that. You know, no capital gains. Now here's a very interesting thing. So especially in the U.S., you have to pay capital gains when you take property and you buy it, or that property goes up in value. You have to pay the gain from where you bought it to what it's at. Well, with the Quint, that's not the case because it's legal tender. And so because it's legal tender, when you're using it as legal tender, there is no capital gains from that legal tender because the government recognizes it as being legal tender, and therefore it's not seen as property or a commodity. And so for especially U.S. citizens, the prospect of no capital gains and the prospect of being able to not have to pay state sales tax in some of these areas is very, very attractive for people to actually go and do. Capital gains for cryptos, yeah, you have to pay those. In most jurisdictions, not all. Fiat, you don't have to pay capital gains on because it's not property and it's not really worth anything. And you got metal cryptos again, which you probably have to pay some sort of gains on if you're in a region that says you have to pay taxes on those sort of things. Transparent, the Quint is highly transparent because it's all on the blockchain. And we're even planning on putting a live stream camera directly into the vault so you can view the vault at any given time and see exactly what's going on in there. And you may even be able to, which we're working out the logistics of, punching your lot number and the camera will go, move over to your lot number and look right at it, and you can view your gold and silver sitting right there in the vault and say, okay, it's all still there. Everybody breathe easy, right? This is what it's all about. We may even do random drawings to just go and actually point it at a lot there so people can see that it's actually there. Again, the whole idea is transparency. Yes, we are a centralized entity in that the vault belongs to us. However, we want to make sure that we have checks and balances in place to ensure that everybody feels really good about it being there and that we are made to be kept honest. Okay? And that's self-imposed because we don't have to do that. So is it their transparency? Yes. In cryptos have transparency. Okay? The Quint has transparency. Fiat currency, not transparent. It is. The Federal Reserve does not have to let us audit the Fed. And in fact, they've told us to our faces, the Senate and the House, no. And they said, but we want to audit you. And they said, no. That's scary when they're the only people that are allowed to print money. And they're the people who are essentially printing money for the entire world because the world goes by the United States dollar as being that reserve currency that everything is settled in and out of. Again, that's a scary prospect. Okay, and this last one, the metal cryptos may or may not be transparent because a lot of them act as securities or derivatives in some way. And so you don't really know when you start playing with derivatives what's there, what's not there, or otherwise, because there's a lot of speculation going on. Inflation proof. We're at the last one now. Inflation proof, well, I think the Quint is because you can't just go and create more gold and silver. So we can't just go print it all. It's in finite supply. Cryptos, well, you can sometimes go in there and add some ones and zeros. Ask Ripple how that works out. I watched them do that in August of 2014 when we were number 2 on CoinMarketCap. It was Bitcoin and BitShares, and Ripple was number 3. And then they said, you know, it'd be really great if we took 10 billion more coins and put them into circulation right now so we could jump over BitShares and not look like a bunch of asses, because that's what we handed their asses to them. And they jumped up over us, and I think the market mentality at the time and the way that people were thinking and trading and stuff saw that happen, and that changed the value of BitShares, I think, in their mind. And that was that crucial point where I think we should have not been the Methodist Church. So we should have been out there and been the Orthodox, right? Say it loud and proud, right? And go out there swinging, right? Exactly it. No, I 100% agree, and that, looking back in time over that, because I remember sitting there, watching this entire thing go down, and I was just thinking to myself, I can't believe these guys did it, but yeah, fast forward 4 years, I can believe they did it. So there we are. But the fact is that they can add some to it. Fiat, well, it's not inflation proof because we've seen that in action the last few years. And again, metal cryptos, potentially inflation proof as long as they play by all the rules, but there's a lot of derivative stuff, again, security speculation going on, so kind of tough.
You can get this chart at QuintRic.com.
Yeah, and if you go to QuintRic.com, you can get this chart. And again, and Connie, I'll make sure that you have a QuintRic link that is just directly to you. Just Skype me, and I'll make sure that we get you all hooked up. And I would urge you to, if you want to join and get referrals for all the people that you refer to QuintRic, again, you get 1% minimum, 1% gross for the life of that account that you refer. So if that person buys $1 million worth, you get 1% gross of everything that they put in there, and it's paid to you directly in gold.
Hey, now, wait now. They got to get that link for me, right?
That's right.
Then they go down. That's right. Okay. That's great stuff. We're loving it. Thanks.
All right. So why is this important? I'm going to kind of rewind for just a moment just to show you why it's so important. This slide's extremely compelling in the fact that you see the value of dollars when it was linked to gold or silver. And over, 125 years, it maintained some sort of status quo there. Okay, it was okay. It was pretty static. And then all of a sudden, right here is where the fiat standard, and we started saying, everybody that has gold or silver, what I'd really like you to do is give it all back to us because we're going to make it illegal to own it, and you need to give it to us. Now, thanks, guys. And this is right around wartime, right? Or right before and right after. And this is when FDR started saying, we're not going to go and redeem all this stuff for everybody anymore. And in fact, we want you to give it all to us. And what you see right here is, for the first time around 1950, it jumped over the highest point in history, and it just kept on rising. Right here, you've got Nixon ending the last tide of gold for fiat currency in the United States, and from that moment on, it skyrocketed to where we're at right now. Okay, the value of the dollar is dead, and the value of your assets when you're storing them in dollars is at risk. Holding dollars, holding paper currency is a liability for anybody that's holding it. Okay? I try to hold as little as possible now, only just enough to spend to anybody who actually wants to take that stuff now. Okay, that's the truth. On this next one, this is a very nice chart that just explains to you how inflation works and puts it all in this perspective. I also did this a couple of years ago when I said, it would cost you about 800 gold dollars to buy a Corvette, brand new Corvette. The difference between 800 gold dollars and the brand new Corvette being around $70,000 now. That's the difference in inflation. If we had been on the gold standard, it'd be $800 for a Corvette, but unfortunately, it's not. And so with this, and this is also on QuintRic.com, you see a home in 1957 was worth the equivalent of 37,700 brown eggs. Okay? The type of money it would take to buy that amount of eggs and or that home would be about $13,500. Okay? In legal tender that was actually able to be redeemed for gold and silver. But if you go over here and you use a Federal Reserve note, which is not redeemable for anything, you've got a house, that same house, by the way, that would cost 37,700 eggs, should cost $13,500, but unfortunately, we're at about $175,000. That's how much inflation has changed things for everybody. And that's how much leaving the gold standard has changed things for people. Okay? Inflation is a hidden tax that you need to understand right now. All of your money, when you hold on to it, you're being taxed on it for the privilege of holding it. And they're going to keep on printing more, so enjoy.
We will try to get them back as they cut off again. It's you're watching Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. This is Connie Willis. It is Crypto Connie Tuesday, and they're coming from Corinth, Greece, and because of that, they will also be cutting in and out from time to time. So I think we've got them back, and they're just setting up the camera. They're going to turn it into the panoramic way, and we'll go back live to the presentation where Michael Taggart is speaking. He's right in the middle of something, and he cut off. And they're frozen again. We can hear them, but they are frozen again. So I'm going to hang up and allow them to call me back again. Just one more time just to get a better connection. All right, so we will keep that going. It's fun, though, isn't it? You guys are watching, again, Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. It is Crypto Connie Tuesday, talking about the QuintRic and updating you on that information. We have been live since, golly, like, 11:30 or 12 or something like that. That's the good breaking news that we have for you along the way. That's what Blue Rock Talk is all about. When people say, wait a minute, you talk about Bigfoot and then the Bible and then UFOs and then cryptocurrency. Let me tell you, I think it all fits in together. And keep in mind that Blue Rock Talk is its own network, and that is the plan of attack. We have playlists that are from all over the place. You know why? Because it's interesting, and this is Earth's most interesting conversations. That includes people, places, and things. And as soon as they call me back, we will add them back on. Well, I was hoping that they would call. I'll go ahead and call them. We'll see if we can get back on. In the middle of a speaking engagement with Stan Larimer and Michael Taggart, and I think that we might have them back on here. Let's see here. Well, there's Stan peeking at us. Well, there we go. We got a picture, and we will let them go back live as they do their speaking on the QuintRic. Here is Michael Taggart, also known as MichaelX.
Yeah, it's all insured, 100% insured, privately, and so it's not insured by the federal government. It's not insured by FDIC. It's insured by Lloyd's of London in a private insurance. Okay, which I think is better than FDIC, which they only have less than 1% of all of the funds on deposit that they have to go out there and they have to cover too. See, the funny thing about the FDIC is the fact that it is government taxpayers that are covering their own deposits with their own tax money. So exactly how is that insurance? You're insuring yourself for your own loss, but if everybody has those same losses, it's not enough money to cover those losses. That sounds like madness.
I still don't understand one point. When you said the gold is insured.
Yes.
So that means you are paying something for this insurance.
Correct.
You have a vault, so you have operating expenses.
We have no vaulting expenses and no insurance expenses. So most vaults have you pay for insurance and for vaulting fees. And so typically it depends on where you have your gold and silver vaulted at, you have to pay those fees. The price of the Quint has the vaulting fees and the insurance fees already figured into it because we charge the U.S. Mint rates, which is the premium rates for gold and silver. So spot price is at one level, U.S. Mint rates are up here at this level because you cannot pay for items with gold and silver bullion in the United States. It's not legal tender. U.S. Mint coins are not only gold and silver, they're also stamped and have higher utility value because the government recognizes it as having a value, right? Does that make sense? So because of that utility value, they charge a little bit more for it. So spot price, we'll just say, is like $1,350 or $1,400. And a 1 ounce Quint is about $1,700. So you pay about $300 premium to have the ability to have it as legal tender, okay, to get all of those tax benefits and all those other benefits that we talked about right there, and all of the vaulting and insurance fees figured in for life. The longer you hold it there, the more of that value comes out. So you're paying, almost prepaying the vaulting fees in that premium for just a short amount of time. But after that short amount of time, fees are free. You don't have to worry about it. It's already been figured in there, and you really get the value of the vaulting out of it.
And when you sell it to someone else, that deal gets passed on to them.
Right.
And you recover your full value because they got the continued coverage and vaulting and so on.
Right.
So it retains the value.
Because there's a sufficient amount of transactions to cover this expenses.
Well, yeah, if you sell them from one person to another, then you're basically trading that value over. You can always redeem them back for the gold and silver in and of itself. And we always have 100% reserve on deposit. Every dollar that we have that somebody deposits in there as gold and silver is being held in there. There's no leverage. All money is in that vault. 100%.
The redemption must have also some kind of fees or expenses.
What is it? What is it? I don't think there's any redemption fee on it, because when it's redeemed out as the gold and silver coins, but it's not the U.S. Mint coins. It's let's say you redeem 5 ounces, you get 5 ounces of those coins back. Yeah, I'm gonna go back.
Yeah. I think you still might have to pay shipping and handling.
Yeah. So if there's like a shipping fee or if there's a delivery fee attached to it, but there's no other fees.
If you redeem it, you get 5. You redeem 5 Quint, you get 5 gold eagles.
Stan. So you don't get the technical
5,000 quints. 5 gold.
Yeah,
Right.
You get 5 physical gold eagles.
Yeah.
And then why can you buy them from QuintRic at the same prices if you would buy a gold eagle from a
U.S. Mint.
from a dealer? You can't buy them directly. You can just buy them from a gold
Right.
dealer, right? So Quint's price might be slightly higher than the
They're at parity with the U.S.
the
Mint.
rest of the money that you have to go from paper storage and vaulting and insurance. Where's that coming from?
Well, the thing is, there's two. Let's take silver. A plain, ordinary 1 ounce silver eagle is about $17, and it's about $55 if you stamp it a few more times and polish it and make it into a collector's item.
Yes.
Okay. The collector's item has more value because there was more work done on it, if you will, to make it more attractive. We went back and said, let's take that same plain coin and put a different kind of value. Instead of stamping it more and polishing it more, let's make it instantly transferable around the world. Let's insure it. Let's prepay all its storage costs. And that gets it up to the $55 level.
Yes, but my question is,
right.
you are charging for a gold eagle and for a mint.
You're not going to get the collector's item. You're going to get the plain one. Yeah.
You'll get You'll get the plain one, and that's done. So when it's in Quint form and when it's in electronic form, it's at the high premium value, and when you spend it, you're spending that value. If you decide to redeem it out to physical form, you get the physical one, right? Okay.
But that's the same thing as if you took a nice...
There is a lower value to it. That's why you don't want to, let's say you don't want to put, $10,000 into the Quint and then redeem it for gold next month. Because you paid that premium on it, you're eating all those the premium value back out on it. Now, you have that lower value coin, but it's still 1 ounce of silver that is redeemable for $17, not $1.
And there's a percentage?
What percentage?
You said the numbers earlier about the premium.
Which part?
About the premium. Yeah, this premium.
So when I was using gold's like $1,400, $1,350 or $1,400, and I think it's like $1,710 for the US dollar.
Is it a fixed number or change it?
It changes with the value of gold and silver, or with what the U.S. Mint publishes as their prices. So if the U.S. Mint goes in there and changes their price to $1,800 for a gold eagle, then that's how much that gold eagle is.
Percentage. Why is it the same? It's 5% or something?
Well, let's make this a teachable moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take a $100 example.
$100?
You buy the QuintRic for $100. How much do you get back when you give it back?
Okay. You're going to pay the price of the pretty coin, and you're going to get a non-pretty coin if you take it out.
In the physical form.
Right. Now,
when you spend it, what form is it in?
Well, if you want to just cash it out without taking gold, you can get the full value of it.
Right? So you get the
we'll buy it back at the same price we sold it at. So that is fine. But if you want to scrape off the added value of making it digital,
right,
and having all the storage prepaid and everything by taking delivery, you get something less valuable. It's just a cold, inert, dumb coin instead of one that's got the smart features on it.
It's still an ounce.
You can still do it,
right.
And this is my teachable moment. If you have a pile of gold nuggets here that represent 1 ounce of gold, but variable purity and hard to tell how much each. It's non-uniform in everything. That's kind of the lowest form of bulk gold, right? Now, I can increase the value of that by simply refining it down to 99.99% pure and making blank discs that are exactly 1 ounce. Now, that's something that's more useful, right? Because you know exactly what you've got. And now if I stamp it with a brand name, which might be, you know, any private mint, or it might be a government stamp, now it's recognizable. So it's got increased value. And now if I polish it and stamp it a few more times so it's nice and crisp and everything, I take it up to the collector's status, and I've added still more value to it. Each one of those things of processing is making the thing more valuable. And what we are saying is, let's skip that last step of polishing it and instead add all these other features. And that takes it from its plain silver equal value up to the same price. Now you can decide which of those two things you'd rather have, a pretty coin or a useful coin.
The difference is in utility at the end of the day, because one is safe to carry with you, it's safe to carry with you in electronic.
One you said from America to be
it's safer to have an electronic form of gold with you than to work around gold.
But I still think my question was not answered, because if I find $100 of a Bitcoin, and since you are single point of failure, single point of failure, the Bitcoin gets a normal coin, how much of these $100 can I give?
Okay, you're going. It's $100 is a odd number for me to work with. Let's use $55 for the silver versus $17.
Yes.
Two different coins. Okay. If I pay for that beautiful coin $55, okay, then I carry it around in my pocket so the loose chains and it gets scratched up and everything. After a while, I've worn off it down to just the $17 price. It started out as a pretty coin. I made it unpretty by taking away its prettiness over time. Okay, it's no longer a collector's quality thing. It's lost value. Same 1 ounce of silver, right? And
so that's the stamped value, though. Think about this. So that's the legal tender stamp value of it. So you're losing $33 out of that. But the metal value, if you go melt that 1 ounce down, is worth how much? $17. Right?
So if you melt both coins down, you turn them to their melt value, right? You've taken away the value of having the recognizable brand stamped on it and the value of making it pretty, and you've lost value by taking it backwards in unprocessing, unadding value down to the melt value. And so all we do is recognize that different coins can be made more valuable by adding features. That's what we do with the Quint, is we add all the features he's talking about.
So for his example, let's say he gives us $100, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then he gets what?
Well, maybe $30 back. But if you don't take delivery of the gold, instead you sell it back to us, we'll pay you the $100 back.
Yeah. And you can swipe it at a register
because
to your card.
At that point, we can resell it again. It's just an electronic Quint, right? We'll turn around and sell it to somebody else.
So basically we go back to the past. The way they changed in the past, like in the 19th century, but with the help of yeah, but this is what I'm saying. We go back to the same way, but with the help of the high technology.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, we use technology to go to the past. It's
it's what it was meant to be.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying is in a good way. I'm not saying.
Yeah.
Exactly, we didn't have the chance to exchange globally through the internet, so this is kind of cheating.
Yeah, they're also.
I mean, in Corinth, you would exchange with somebody in Corinth. You didn't have access in Nevada. But through the internet, you are in Corinth, and you can exchange with someone in Beijing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Right. So, the goal is obviously if you want to put your money into the system, if you want to take it out and get the delivery of the actual gold back to you, you're going to lose some of that utility value. And you're still going to have the inherent value of the metals there. Okay?
It puts a floor on your investment.
It does, on a double floor, really, because you still have that stamp value and that of the coin that's being delivered to you, and you still have the metals value. Now, if you put it in there and you hold it in there, you get the full value of the premium on it, the full spendability of it, and you have the full value of the value of gold.
And not only can fiat money lose value, it is assured to go to
It's assured it's going to go at one point. Right. It's just math. Just go look at it. You can't argue with it.
Every fiat currency history is going to do.
Every single one of them. And so because of that, I hesitate to say that, it's one of them's going to work ever again. And we might as well come up with a different solution. So I do write a lot about the Quint. If you guys have questions or you want to learn a lot more info, I've got tons of articles about it. You can just go to Medium and just look up MichaelX or MichaelX. Just MichaelX in Medium, and you'll find me on there. But I talk a lot about everything from, quick primer. This actually explains the whole process. This one just posted like 2 days ago or 29th. And it just goes over this process. If you want to sell it back to us, you get all your money back, right? If you extract it out and you take it, that's when you may get lower. If you've been storing it for 10 years, then you've avoided all of those vaulting fees and you've avoided all those insurance fees. So if you do extract that gold out in gold form, yes, you're taking a lower form of token, physical token for it, but you probably made out pretty good because you didn't have to worry about the vaulting fees and you didn't have to worry about the insurance.
And inflation.
So that's why we kind of built that premium into it. So you don't have to worry about the fees anymore. You just need the utility of sending it anywhere in the world or spending it at a register. That's all we really need with money, right? Okay. Let's go. Phil, I've got a few more slides here. I was talking about, quickly, new projects that we're working on, which is including, right now this is on BitShares, technology, graphene. We are working on a new blockchain right now. The blockchain will be integrated with all of the EOS technology and upgrades that are in there. We're also adding some other usability with it. The interesting thing about EOS, as Daniel pointed out, Stan pointed out and Daniel pointed out in his answer about the Ethereum question was, we can run the entire Ethereum blockchain all in one smart contract on EOS. That also means we can do a lot of other stuff, like run every other blockchain all within smart contracts on EOS. And so we took a look at that and said, what we can do with EOS is we can take everything that we've built here, add the EOS function and capability to it, and then we can actually increase the usability and the liquidity of every other chain in the world all on our one chain. And so we're going and we're taking some of the best features of peer plays. I'm sorry, not peer plays. What is it? It's
Peer plays.
Is it peer plays? No, I was thinking peer tracks. Peer plays and Steam it. Some of the commits that are coming there. Muse doesn't really have any new tech as of yet, but we're taking some of those commits, adding those to our graphene chain, including the EOS capabilities, and then rewriting smart contracts for every other cryptocurrency on there, and then making it a chain that is it's a blockchain that has atomic swappability built into it. So instead of an open ledger being there to redeem your EOS as open EOS to EOS, it's the blockchains doing it the entire way back and forth. Nobody has to be in between. So you don't have to worry about the fact that open ledger could go down or get raided or spend all of your money and then say, oops, we lost it all, or anything like that. That's what happens. Okay, what was that question that came up on there, Connie? Can you just repost it? Because we're on Stan's phone now, so it just flashes and then disappears. Can you purchase, store it for free with the company and withdraw payment through a debit card? Yes. That's the short answer. How much will you sell to one person at a time? If you want to wire me $10 million, I will sell you $10 million in gold right now. Can the Quint really be used as legal tender? Yes. The Quint represents the American Gold Eagle, but on Wikipedia it says, and I didn't get the rest of that. Go back to the other one. Who is the brainchild behind QuintRic? I've heard the theories in chat. They're a legal tender for all debts, public and private, at their face values. That's what legal tender is. So think about this. If you go right now to a place and buy a legal tender, let's say, well, if you just go to UPMA, for instance, which is our partners on the project. UPMA is the United Precious Metals Association. They allow people to go in there and deposit dollars in there. They then store gold and silver in there, like a gold or silver-based credit union. They issue you out a card. You can swipe it at a register. You can spend your gold and silver. What we did is we came in there with our graphene technology. Right now, the UPMA has an Amex card. We're anticipating an Amex card and Visa cards for those who can't have Amex cards. So, Visa is taken everywhere else in the world. Going back to that, though, is UPMA has that ability already. What we did is we came in with our blockchain, which is the only one capable of real-time, real-value industrial and commercial capabilities. Save that question, that's right there, and I'll answer it in just a minute. What we're doing is being able to do that by using our blockchain. So we made it, as you were just saying earlier, Thea, we're going back in time to doing what they intended to do with gold and silver by using future technology to go back in time. So it's back to the future, right? And Stan loves that sort of stuff. And so what you see right here on these images, these are actually two of the images of the new UI that we're building for the new blockchain, which is what I think is going to be the most usable UI by consumers out there because it's just so pretty and so nice and easy and intuitive to use. Things like the Quint are going to be featured on there, and things like the Quint card you'll be able to add on to your wallet. It won't come with every wallet. If you want the ability to spend Quint and get a Quint card, then you can add it onto your wallet, but it doesn't come native to it because too many options breeds indecision, and people just won't do anything. It's just that simple. That's why step by step by step always seems to work better than offering a plethora of options. People look at it and go, which one's the right choice? Or how do I use all this? Or what do I do with that? Or they feel dumb because they don't know what everything that they're looking at is, and so they just back slowly out of the room and pretend it never happened. Versus going in there and just having the option to say, oh, well, yeah, I want a gold card, so then they'll add it, and then they have the ability, and they have the motivation to want to learn that. I'm getting like a ton of phone calls because it's daytime in the U.S. now. All right. Okay, so throw me that last question that was on there so I can see what it was as I loom above you. Can you purchase and store it for free with the company? Withdraw? Yeah, we already answered that one. There was another question a few minutes ago. Okay, so we got all of the questions. Excellent, excellent. So yeah, these are two of the different screen caps that we've got on here. I've got a couple more here where we've got an entire marketplace where you can add different options to all of your wallets and all of those to your UI basically. It's all mobile friendly as well as web friendly. Any sort of tablet, any Android, iOS, any of that sort of stuff. And then you've got charting on here. These are just some of the mock-ups of the charts in the marketplace. And what you see is QuintRic is on here being featured in quite a few places. What we see is if you do go to the QuintRic site through our link that's going to be below this video later on and create an account, it's very similar to Coinbase. If you guys have a Coinbase account, it's almost the exact same thing as Coinbase in that super simple and easy. You create your account, you go into it, and then you can purchase with, and I think I don't know if they've turned it back on, but we did have the options to purchase with debit cards, credit cards, wiring. You can send a check by mail, and we'll actually take that check. You can also buy it with crypto right now, BitUSD, and we'll be taking the top about 40 or 50 cryptos here relatively soon. So you can purchase gold and silver, store it in our vault, and you can do it with any of those different methods of payment. Again, a very simple and easy entry point for regular consumers to get into crypto if they want to, get into gold and silver if they want to, or all three, and able to get their money into crypto and then buy other cryptocurrencies or keep it in Quint or gold, silver, whatever it is that they want to do. It's always spendable on the card in Quint format.
You might mention that you've strayed across the line and now you're mixing QuintRic and Bench.
I am mixing QuintRic and Bench because this is the whole thing. So the new project, which I haven't mentioned the name of, and Stan just kind of let it out there, is called Bench, and the SEC is aware of it. I know that because they called. one of our friends working on it and asked them about it. So they do know about it. Let's see. How does a debit card work? I didn't get all that, Connie. It was super fast. Just copy, paste it, and throw it back in. How does a debit card work for international clients? Right now, the cards only work in the U.S. Those are the Amex cards. That's why I said that we're anticipating Visa cards. And the next question might be, well, I thought that Visa and MasterCard turned off, the ability for people to spend those crypto cards. That is true, but these are not crypto cards. These are gold and silver cards. Crypto is just a layer of utility over the top of it, but all at the end of the day, it is just a redemption receipt. That token is just a redemption receipt. It is nothing more than that, okay? We can just talk about this all day, but all it is the same as a piece of paper right here. It is a receipt that says, you have 1,000 Quint in here. Whoever shows this receipt and hands it to me will redeem 1,000 Quint, okay? That's all it is. And so the argument is, and basically, since it's legal tender, is these cards are not crypto cards. These are gold and silver cards, and those are legal, and those aren't being regulated by the credit card companies as much as well. All right, any other questions? All right, I'll show you this quick one too. So pretty much, I like this one because I see all the little cool stuff in here. There's a little B logo for bench. Bench means bank in Latin.
When can we get the card?
The card soon. We're working out the international stuff. We're not doing any U.S. stuff. Yes, it's always soon. We're launching on July 4th. And so what we're hoping to do is have the cards in place around then or right after then. The open ability for the transfer of Quint in and out of the DEX and any other BitShares-based exchange should be within the next 4 to 6 weeks, hopefully less. We have the ability right now. It's not turned on for obvious reasons. We're working out just some basic legal stuff, and we have to store it and we have to transfer it in specific ways in order for it to maintain legal tender status. And so we just have to make sure that the flow of the process flow is in what's the word I want to congruency with regulations and laws. Okay. This is nice knowing you 2.0 because last time I checked BitShares was 2.0, right? And what we're doing is we're developing the next era of graphene. Okay. EOS was based off of the graphene blockchain, okay, originally. And it will not have, as far as I know, its own blockchain for EOS. It's allowing everybody to have the tools to develop their own blockchain. So what we're doing is just that. We're taking all of our expertise in graphene, and we're taking the EOS code base, and we're basically putting the bench chain out there into existence for people to use. And that's the name of the chain. So it's called bench and bench chain. And if you see right there, third time's a charm, right? And there's a B in there too because bench is the third iteration, essentially, of what BitShares could be. Now, whether BitShares, they may want to decide to hop on there and to integrate that and to pull it into what they're doing with their operation with the DEX. That's up to them. But what we're doing is we're enabling BitShares to be able to bridge all of the other blockchains and have more operability with everything else that's out there. That's the goal. It's enabling BitShares to be everywhere, on all chains at all times.
Yeah, that's one thing that probably didn't come across in that is the prime directive is first, do no harm to BitShares. This is adding value, adding functionality that will raise the value of BitShares token. So the bench chain uses BitShares. Okay? And so that means we don't have to modify the BitShares chain, the existing 2.0 chain. We don't have to ask permission from the community. They have the option of taking some of the stuff out of bench and moving it down at their own pace and so on. But we're moving on, and we're advancing, and we're not going to slow down for that process. But we are going to make sure that whatever we build is an environment that will stimulate uses for BitShares and project BitShares products and services onto the EOS environment using the bench.
And Ethereum. And imagine being able to trade your BitShares on Ethereum as an ERC token.
You can think
or on Waves or on Hashgraph.
You can think of bench as the universal glue chain that's being designed to put in the connectivity without touching the BitShares system itself, so that people who want to build on the base platform can, and people who want to grab the services like icing on the cake that Bench provides can do that.
So Bench will take an Ethereum coin and make it EOS capable. So we'll have all the capabilities, all the qualities of an EOS-based token, all the speed and everything. Yes.
So potentially the dApps can jump to EOS.
Yeah.
Keep the key.
Yeah. And our goal is essentially with Bench, it's going to create a marketplace and it's going to spur app development because people will be able to create extensions for the wallet, just like you have extensions on your browser. Okay, so you add extensions for functionality to increase the functionality of your Chrome browser. You're going to do the exact same thing on Bench for your exchange and your wallet. It's that simple. And that's going to spur growth because you buy some of these. Some of the extensions are free. Some of them you'll buy. For $5, you can add a Quint card to your wallet. And I'm not saying that's going to be the price. I'm just giving that as an example. Or for $10, you can add a trading view console on there. Or maybe somebody else decides that they want to develop a better console than TradingView. They can develop that console, add it to our marketplace, and start making money because as people buy that extension, they're getting paid for it. See, we're creating a marketplace within there for everybody to develop these services and otherwise. Okay? That's what we're building, and we're enabling the interoperability of all the other chains, all the other tokens, all at the same time. Stan showed a really great slide earlier that showed the superhighway, that showed a highway with a traffic jam. Well, what we're doing is we're building a highway that's 100 lanes deep, and we're allowing every single token to get onto our highway and drive down the Bench highway. And if they want to get off on Ethereum Street, they can get off on Ethereum Street, and now that token has just the qualities that Ethereum has, and the limitations. It has the capabilities, and it also has the limitations. And now they're on Ethereum, and they're messing around on that chain. If they want to get back on to having a faster token or having the capabilities of EOS or Bench, they will get back onto the Bench highway, and now that Ethereum token will have all the capabilities of the Bench chain. Again. So we're enabling them to have a choice on how they interact and how they don't interact. And that's what I think truly is what's going to spur adoption, is making this customizable, making it user-friendly, making it visually appealing to look at, and making it usable for everybody for the first time. And what I'm hoping for is that people will use the Quint as the ultimate medium of exchange when they swipe at a register and when they store those assets for long-term storage or for a predictive value. Those are the goals. All right? Anybody have any questions about any of that stuff? Connie, we looking good, or do we have any questions over there? Yeah? Okay, she says, let's see. She says she's mesmerized by my devilish good looks and what else?
Raw intellect.
Oh, my intelligence is staggering. Oh, thank you.
Can I ask
Just a moment. Is there a video that you recommend that illustrates how all this works? If you go to QuintRic.com, then right now there's a white paper that is broken up into several pieces. It's pretty easy to consume. If you go to my Medium site, just Medium.com, just type in MichaelX, you'll find me on there. You'll see a lot about the QuintRic coins. We are planning on shooting some video. We are actually planning on potentially, I can't say it's 100% in stone, but there may be a film documentary made about this in the next couple of months. We're talking about the financing of it right now. So let's see. Somebody just said, how are the feds going to respond to this as opposed to Rise Bank or some of the other ICOs or otherwise? Number one, QuintRic is not doing an ICO. It's just selling gold and silver, so that's a pretty simple answer. Number two, I'm pretty sure they have probably seen what we're doing, and we haven't heard from them yet, but that doesn't mean that we won't. And we do have a legal memorandum written by some very good lawyers that state our case as to why we're not a commodity or a security and why we're legal tender and all the different great reasons why. Somebody says, do we have a UK vault? We plan on partnering with multiple jurisdictions around the world. Ireland's been thrown out there. There was actually an article QuintRic put out over on the UPMA site. They wrote about QuintRic yesterday and stated that Ireland, some Asian partners, and some other European partners as well were in the works right now. So vaulting facilities in different geographical locations. We do believe in decentralization, right? We're not looking to just store it all in one spot and make it a big honey pot for somebody. We understand the reasons for that. So the short answer is it will be in a lot of different places for redemption. Yes?
Yeah, just to see if I got it right, basically. So there's a physical volume to store all the value in there or multiple volumes or whatever. However, our experience in years, and I think also in Cyprus, was that during the capital controls, we could not have any access to our vaults. Mm-hmm. So, based on the risks that were presented in the beginning of this conversation, the global crisis or whatever, so the capital controls would be imposed by governments and the vault would be inaccessible, right? So
well, capital controls are imposed by the governments, but they're still done through laws. Now, they go and change the law in order to suit their needs. Yeah, that's what politicians do all the time. But I'll read to you the official stance from QuintRic in regards to that exact question right here, which is, we know that confiscation has occurred many times in the past, sometimes by force. Soon, perhaps by 2019, we will have international tokens available outside of the U.S. and vaulting facilities in those places as well. The gold used in these programs will likely be vaulted in Switzerland, Iceland, Ireland, and or any other nation that is friendly in an attitude towards monetary freedom. In America, we have ensured that there is nothing illegal about what we're doing, but you are correct. There are always the risk of government overstepping their privileges. While the Trump administration in the U.S. is unlikely to endorse such an action, we can never be too cautious. We are taking steps to discourage the state that we are residing in currently, which is Utah, and a very, very friendly state to gold, silver, legal tender specie, and or crypto. However, we are taking steps to discourage the state from seizing our assets without first taking us to court, the legal aspect of it. In the worst case scenario, this would provide time for any concerned investors to redeem their tokens before that confiscation occurs. If you are concerned, you can always wait until we launch the IQuint, which should be relatively impossible for the U.S. government to regulate effectively. See, they can regulate the Quint and the QuintS. They can't regulate the IQuint and the IQuintS. Those are international. Because they're not residing there, they're not being stored there, they're going to be stored in different locations, and they're not being sold to U.S. citizens, so they have no leg to stand on.
And what about the insurance that you said, again, was London, would that cover seizure by government?
Yeah, well, I would hope so, but I don't know. That's a good question I can ask about. Yeah, if you want to ask me later, I'll find out. Yeah.
Or something like that, and see,
right. Exactly. Yeah. So that's the official stance. We're not responsible for it. We can't, and the whole, we can get hit by an asteroid and everybody's gold's gone. So, that could potentially happen. How's this difference from AML token? Is that some sort of gold token? I don't know. I haven't looked at AML token. I know there's about 30 or 40 different gold tokens out there. If you go to upma.org, they actually listed a couple of those gold tokens and did a comparison, side-by-side comparison with some of the gold tokens that are out there versus the Quint. Not a single gold token out there is following the legal tender escrow rules and regulations. We are the only one. So that's one big, huge difference, is that we've got that legal tender status and a stamp value on there. A majority of them that I have looked at, and I've actually worked on some of the other gold ones that are out there as a consultant or advisor on some of those, are commodities and or securities. Most of them have some sort of derivative component to them, and a lot of them are not 100% redemption in reserves. Okay, so they don't have everything in reserve. There's only 80% or 50% or 30% of the gold that's actually out there as a token is actually being held in a vault somewhere. So it's still fractional reserve of some sort. Who mints the coins? Who mints the coins?
Well, they have
Yeah.
the U.S. Mint or the various other national mints. The
Right.
Chinese government mints the Panda. There's the Kingdom of Brethany, the Middle Kingdom of Ireland, mints a lot of specialty coins. And, of course, we can go do custom coins like a coin for Alexander the Great or something, a commemorative coin, and white label that so it's backed by the Quint system, but represents something that looks completely different to the end user. So there's different companies out there that will do that, and their price is competitive to the U.S. Mint. So whether it's stamped by the U.S. Mint or any other mint or a specialty mint, it's about the same price.
The battery. Paul, look at that. His phone's about to die. Has Stan shown bench to Dan? If so, what were his comments? No, we haven't shown him that. I don't believe yet. Stan's shaking his head no. And we'll discuss that with Dan when we have a beta version for him to play with, because I would really rather not waste his time until it's worth wasting, so to speak. So, do you have a cable?
So you don't have a connector for a nice one?
No, I don't.
That's okay. I got another.
Well, I'll let you do that. What other questions there, Connie?
Hi, everybody. If you're just now joining us, it's Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. And this is Crypto Connie Tuesday. And who that is right there is Michael Taggart, otherwise known as MichaelX, on Steemit, as well as some other areas. You can also find him on Medium. Stan Larimer just walked by. They are in Corinth, Greece, and they are live speaking to us and answering your questions. If anybody else has another question in the chat room, please continue to put them in all caps, and I will make sure that I get that to them. I want to thank everybody for being here for sure. I appreciate this. This has been a long day. We have been catching them the entire time. It's they're 7 hours ahead of us. So, golly, let's see, what is it, 7, 8, 9, what is it, 10:30, 10:40-year-old's time.
It's time for dinner.
It's time for dinner for them.
These guys here don't eat until around midnight.
Oh, my gosh.
I know, when I see people with young children going to the restaurant at midnight, I know I'm not in the U.S. anymore.
Wow. Ooh, I love
you
that.
would get so many dirty looks and child services called on you.
And I think that's great. I'm a night person myself.
Yeah, right.
Probably most of our listeners, too. So how are you guys doing? Are we nearing the end, or
I think
do we go to dinner with you too, or what?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Stan wants to take you to dinner. That's his deal.
Pass it on through the airwaves.
Yeah, I think at this point we'll wrap up the live coverage and thank everybody for coming and joining us. I think we've covered most of the stuff, and I'm sure on a future edition of Blue Rock Talk, we can get into any other remaining questions that may have been left over.
Where's your head?
And
you might want to look a little, kind of move it. There's your face. Can you turn it a little bit more? There you go. Thank you.
I don't
Okay. Oh, that's even better. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know why people
Hey, there.
would make all the effort of getting iFace on the screen. All right. Things are falling apart here rapidly, Connie. So I think we'll turn it over to you before it gets more out of control.
All right. Well, Stan, thanks. You guys have a great time. We appreciate that you guys were a part of the show. Okay. Thank you so much. Take care. Have fun. All right. We'll keep in touch. That's Stan Larimer there, and he is live. Get rid of him there. Boom. He's gone. They're live from Corinth, Greece, and they've been talking to us for, golly, I don't know, 5-6 hours or so. Let me see here for sure. I can actually tell you for at least 3 hours. Golly, I think it's a little more than that. It seemed like, but maybe not. So it's Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis, Crypto Connie Tuesday. We appreciate those of you that have joined us today. It's been incredible. Had some great questions. Soon it'll, YouTube has to do its own thing to archive it and bring it back up. I think you can probably still see it possibly while that is processing. If not, it will be up after that occurs. Okay. And we'll distribute that. Please share this with other people. If you are on Steemit, please share that with others as well. So we want to thank all of you guys for showing up. Keep in mind that we have, of course, coming soon, Wasted Wednesdays here on Blue Rock Talk with the cannabis industry. We also have Bigfoot Fridays here We have Far Out and Signature Thursdays where, you know, anything goes. Stan Larimer's Bible lecture on Sunday. And that's 1 p.m. Eastern. Otherwise, everything else is 10 p.m. Eastern in the evening time. Next time I'll be on Coast to Coast is May 19th, working on that show for you now. And got a lot of other great ideas and other information to tell you coming up soon. It was great to finally learn a little bit more about Bench, QuintRic, EOS, and how it all comes together. Again, thank you all for being here. What an incredible day that was. Penny was here with us hanging out and enjoying the show, as well as little Batman. I'm sure you've heard them along the way. And again, just saying, let me see how everybody's doing there in the live chat room. Where'd it go? Where'd my little live chat go? Woo-hoo. There we are. Connie rocks the blue planet. Hey, thank you very much. Hope Bleeker, thanks for joining us as well. Had a great comments to me, as well as some great questions. We appreciate all of you that are here. BHC needs some love. BHC, who's BHC? What? I'm missing that. What BHC? Let me know, anonymous user. And Coast to Coast May 19th, absolutely. So thanks everybody that showed up. Again, these thank you very much for that. These when they happen. It doesn't matter when things happen, so make sure you hit that notification bell and pass that on. We are growing. I think, where are we on Blue Rock Talk here with our YouTube subscribers? I gotta get to a minimum of 10,000 before I can get certain other things that can happen for the channel. So let me see where we are. I know we're getting closer to it. Please share this with other people so that we can get them to subscribe. We are at 8,412 subscribers right now. We're heading that way. Appreciate that, everybody. Not even a year old, or this is going to be celebrating it this month, a year old of Blue Rock Talk. So let's get it up there. Keep it jamming. Make this thing a hit all over. Somebody had said, hey, how can you do crypto and then Bigfoot and then a Bible lecture and then UFO and all these other things all in one? Well, because Blue Rock Talk, Earth's Most Interesting Conversations, is a network. And under the Blue Rock Talk name is cannabis, crypto, Bigfoot, UFO, anything interesting. I always like to say the bees in the beehive making honey. I haven't yet done that, and I do know somebody that will do the show for us. So it is just all these neat, interesting playlists along the way that all add up. And any more ideas, let me know. We'll throw them in on our future show that I'll let you in on now, Miscellaneous Monday. Miscellaneous Monday. Now, I put all this together so that I could have days off, and I've kind of filled up the week. So we'll see how this all goes. But thank you, everybody that has showed up. Again, hit that like button if you have not. Pass this on. Very diverse. Absolutely right. And bedtime for anonymous user. Oh my gosh, yes. Well, we thank you that you stayed up this long. And you guys have all been good. Let me find my little goodbye thing here and then say goodbye to you. You guys are super. I appreciate you being a follower, a Blue Rocker, and supporting myself and all the other shows. Thanks so much. And until next time, I will see you later here on Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis.